Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. Bring in part 8 of What If Jackie Chan was in W.I.T.C.H. Link in the description of the fanfiction of this What If. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Revelations. Caleb ran as fast as he could through a twisted forest, his pursuers being a small group of Shotokan, and huge and grotesque caterpillar-like monster. Caleb might be a proud individual, but even he knew he was no match for his pursuers like this. The insect monster roared as it curled after him, with the Shotokan leaping in the trees above him. However, Caleb soon found himself at a rope bridge just by a waterfall. The bridge couldn't contain the weight of the monster, and the Shotokan likely couldn't leap over it, so Caleb assumed he was safe as he began to trek across the wobbly bridge, with his pursuers coming to a stop just before it. Unfortunately, the young rebel leader found the other end of the bridge barred by a series of lurdans. Caleb was trapped, and it seemed as though his enemies had no motives of self-preservation as the Shotokan, lurdans, and even the caterpillar-like monster all slowly climbed onto the bridge, which was already beginning to crumble from their combined quake. Fortunately for Caleb however, he spotted an open portal just below the bridge on the other side. Using this as his chance, Caleb wrapped his arm around the rope and drew his sword. Too bad, this used to be a nice bridge. Caleb sliced off one of the rope supports, causing the bridge to shake, while knocking the lurdans and Shotokan off balance. The caterpillar monster tried to shoot a ball of webbing from an opening on its chest to stop Caleb, but he moved out of the way for the webbing to ensnare the lurdans behind him. Caleb then sliced at the boards before slicing at the final rope to cut the bridge in half. The giant caterpillar monster clung to its end of the bridge and survived, while the lurdans and Shotokan fell to their demise just as Caleb had swung into the open portal. Earth, Heatherfield, Jade, Will, and Cornelia had entered an alleyway where an open portal was waiting for them. Wonder what scary monster's gonna come out of it this time? Jade asked excitedly. Well, whatever it is, it'll have to find another portal, because this one is closed. Will took out the heart of Kandrakar and was ready to seal it up when Cornelia spotted something in the portal, however. Wait, hold on a second. Something's coming. The blonde stated as they looked in surprise to see Caleb go flying out and skidding hard across the ground before crashing into a wall. Caleb, Cornelia exclaimed as she and Jade ran to him. Will use the heart of Kandrakar to close the portal to make sure no monsters followed him through before she joined Cornelia and Jade on checking out Caleb, who appeared to be unconscious. Is he okay? Will asked with concern. Does he look okay? Cornelia questioned, referring to his scrapped-up body. Jade, tell me you stole the horse talisman. Hey, I don't steal any talismans, I borrow them. Jade protested. Well, did you borrow the horse one? Cornelia questioned impatiently. Not this time, sorry. Jade laughed nervously. Relax Cornelia, pretty sure your boyfriend isn't on death's door. Will joked. He's not my boyfriend, and he's hurt. Cornelia protested. Caleb's eyes opened about halfway as he heard a familiar voice, but it didn't belong to Cornelia. Oh, Uncle. The young rebel appeared to be in a dream-like state as he saw Uncle's head floating above him. What happened? You were supposed to get into Phobos Castle but you got such a whooping. I wanted to inform him that we might have found the princess, but the castle was too heavily guarded. Caleb replied weakly. One more thing, Uncle said. Since you are on Earth now, you must protect Elion herself. But, aren't I dead? Caleb asked weakly. Iya, how can you be dead? You swung into the portal. Uncle stated. Oh, right, Caleb recalled. One more thing. Uncle's hand suddenly appeared to deliver a dope slap to Caleb's forehead and wake him up. Ow. Caleb woke up as he held his forehead, only to look in minor surprise as he saw the three girls gather around him. Caleb, you're okay. Cornelia exclaimed in relief. Of course, I'm okay, he tried to act tough. It's gonna take more than that to kill me. Ow. He winced as he held his side. Oh yeah, you are a real Han Solo. Jade remarked with joking sarcasm. Come on, let's get you patched up. Will said as they helped him to his feet. Meridian, Phobos Castle. Phobos had threw a plum of magic sand onto the ground which began to take shape and project the image of his newly identified long-lost younger sister. Among those present were Daolon Wong, Cedric, and several guards, including the undercover Vathek. The face of my sister. Phobos said with a sinister smile. After all these years. I've successfully won her confidence. Cedric hissed. Her Earth name is Elion Brown. Elion, Wong mused. A name that expresses majesty and humility at the same time. She'll make quite the addition to our little family, won't you agree, my prince? He asked Phobos. She will indeed make an excellent princess, for a while. Phobos smirked as all three of them shared an evil laugh, not apparently noticing the serious expression on Vatic's face. Earth. Silver Dragon. Caleb was led to the restaurant's basement by Will, Jade and Cornelia, where Irma, Terani, and even Jackie had met up with them as he told them what had happened. So, what do I do? He told his story dramatically. Cut the ropes and I swing, shoo, magnificently right into the open portal. Then you skid magnificently across paved sidewalk and into a wall. Cornelia smirked as she tended to some of the scrapes on his face. Ow. Careful. Yeah, be careful, Cornelia. Jade teased. High and mighty hero is more fragile than one of Uncle's artifacts. This resulted in laughs from all the other girls present, including Cornelia, while Caleb just had a smirk. Caleb, why were you trying to get into Phobos' castle to begin with? Jackie asked seriously, getting right to the point. I was trying to get in contact with Vathek about the heir's identity. Caleb answered. However, before their conversation could delve in even further, Haylin quickly came in running downstairs. Guys, guess what? She got everyone's attention excitedly. But she noticed Caleb and his condition. Wow, what happened to you? Standard hero injuries. Cornelia answered simply. Anyway, Elion got a guy. Haylin revealed, much to the girl's surprise. A guy? Terani questioned. Who? Irma asked. She didn't tell me. Cornelia shot up. Well, it just happened. Haylin continued. This guy, Brian, he's a dog walker. They met when a Pomeranian stopped to sniff her ankle. Is that cute or what? Does Dog Boy know he's dating a magic princess, whose brother is one of the world's biggest jerkwads? Jade questioned. We don't know that, Cornelia stated, still in denial. She did have that magic star around her neck. Terani pointed out. It must have been just a mistake. Maybe she took it because it looked cool. Cornelia did not like this idea one bit, but no matter how much she tried to deny it, it was something they all had to consider. Then how come our powers wore off when she put it on? Irma questioned. Before Cornelia could protest again, Jackie put a hand on her shoulder. Cornelia, I understand if this is difficult, but we need to accept the possibility that Elion might indeed be the lost heir. Well, have you heard anything from Captain Black yet? Will asked. Not yet. Jackie replied. These kinds of things have to take time. Not just DNA testing but looking into her family as well. So, if Elion really is Phobos' sister, then who are those people she thinks are her parents? Haylin asked. Maybe they adopted her. Terani assumed. She could have been dropped off at an orphanage when she was just a baby. You got any ideas, rebel boy? Irma asked Caleb. Honestly, I don't. The young rebel replied. Nobody in the rebellion knows who brought the missing heir to Earth. Really? They didn't come back and join the rebellion or whatever? Jade asked. No. Caleb shook his head. Well, even if she is Phobos' sister, we also know that bookstore owner is really Cedric. Let's go bring him down. Cornelia stated. Patience, Cornelia. Jackie said. We can't afford to charge in recklessly. They aren't aware that we know of them, for the moment we have the element of surprise. So, when the time does come to drop kick Snake Boy, hiya. She jumped in the air and delivered a kick for emphasis. Cornelia couldn't help but look down at this. She had known Elion since they were little kids, she was her best friend. So, the idea that she was some magical princess was news enough, but for her also to be the sister of Phobos. That was mind-blowing. Well, whatever the case, Cornelia was now a guardian and she would protect Elion with all her being if she had to. Meridian. Much like before, Phobos bathed in the waters at the very bottom of his castle to replenish his own powers with that which lies within Meridian's natural landscape. Whenever that happened, the massive roots around the castle town below all began to glow, something the people were all well used to. He takes our very life force. One woman said in disgust as she went to a fruit stand which appeared to be run by Trill. Did you hear? Trill asked. They say the princess has been found. All our troubles could be over. I hope for my children's sake, it's true. Blanc walked up to the pair with a backpack. When trouble's over, have feast. He took out a pair of ice skates. Cut food with these. Feet knives. Meanwhile, as Phobos continued to bathe, Daolan Wang and Cedric reported to their prince an interesting piece of news. It's the guard, W.I.T.C.H. Cedric reported. He left the castle. The guards have permission to patrol the village. Phobos dismissed. He didn't leave to patrol, my prince. Wang said. He took a day's food with him and left his weapons behind. Phobos' eyes narrowed. So, W.I.T.C.H is the spy we've been seeking. Meaning, he framed Raithor, who was wrongfully cast into the abyss of shadows. His fists clenched with anger in the water. There is nothing that can be done about Raithor, other than avenging him. Daolan Wang stated. I will retrieve W.I.T.C.H so that you may have the pleasure of punish him personally. I cannot leave this to you alone, wizard. Cedric hissed, resulting in a glare from Wang. Chan and the Guardians must not know the princess's identity before I'm ready to take her. Both of you will retrieve W.I.T.C.H. Phobos stated. Take the Shotokan. Take the Larvik. Do not let him reach Earth. As you wish. Both the shapeshifter and Dark Kai wizard bowed to Phobos before Wang swung his scepter and they both vanished in a puff of dark smoke. Meanwhile, in the castle town, Blanc began to demonstrate how his feet knives worked by skating up and down across a watermelon with a surprising amount of skill. Slices, dices, chops, and he kicked a sliced piece into his mouth. Come with own fork. The people around him all clapped, apparently quite impressed with his demonstration. Blanc bowed after his performance, but once he felt a hand on his shoulder, he entered his panic mode. Blanc do nothing. Businessman. This person however turned out to be none other than W.I.T.C.H, who is currently wearing a hood. Do you remember me? All big blue things look same. Blanc stated. I helped Caleb escape the oubliette. W.I.T.C.H reminded him. Oh yeah, good blue thing. Blanc did indeed remember him now. He picked up a piece of the sliced watermelon. Fruit. I have important news for Caleb. W.I.T.C.H said in a hushed whisper. I need to find a portal. Blue thing's lucky day. Blanc having portal special. Special, huh? They both looked upward in surprise to see the Dark Kai enforcer Finn standing on a rooftop, alongside Ratso and Chow. We got a special for you too. A special beat down. Chow said as the three of them leapt from the rooftop to face the surprised duo of W.I.T.C.H and Blanc, causing all the people in the area to run away in fright. Ah, orange men. Very bad. Blanc screamed. It wasn't just them however, Cedric also came around the corner alongside Wang, who held the Larvik with a chain of Dark Kai magic from his scepter. There he is, Cedric pointed out. Ah, Snake Man and Bad Wizard. Even more bad. Blanc screamed again. To add onto that were the moving shadows in the area which quickly surrounded the frightened pair and molded themselves to reveal a group of at least a dozen Shotokan. Ah, Shadow Men. Even more bad. Blanc screamed once more before W.I.T.C.H ran and plowed his way through a few Shotokan, while Blanc also made a bolt for it. You three, take the Larvik and go after the Passling. Wang ordered his Dark Kai enforcers. Cedric and I will take the Shotokan and stop the traitor. Sure, thing boss. Ratso said. But we expect a bonus for riding with the scary caterpillar. Go. Now. Cedric roared, causing the frightened Dark Kai enforcers to ran after Blanc along with the Larvik which Daolan Wang set loose, while Wang himself followed Cedric along with the Shotokan in the direction W.I.T.C.H ran. Blanc ran down the street with the Larvik in close pursuit, however, the Passling didn't have far to run as Finn, Ratso, and Chow leapt in front of him with their weapons in hand. Already getting desperate, Blanc threw his backpack at the Dark Chin enforcers, which Finn sliced away with his weapon, before Blanc ran up to the Larvik and leapt over its thrust to skate on top of it with his ice skates. He leapt onto a cloth's line before it snapped, and he used it to swing away. I got M. Ratso ran backwards to try and catch Blanc only for the Passling to land on top of him feet and ice skates first, knocking Ratso down before Blanc actually skated on the ground with Finn, Chow, and the Larvik after him. Finn and Chow both threw their respective weapons which spun like large shurikens. Blanc tried to turn his skates to the right down the road, but the weapons followed after him like homing missiles. Blanc saw an abandoned food stand and steered himself in that direction, skating underneath it, allowing the weapons to hit it and stop their pursuit. But Blanc didn't have time to celebrate as the Larvik was already over him. At the same time, Vathek ran as fast as he could, with the Shotokan running and leaping on the rooftops over him. They tried to throw their shurikens at him, but Vathek quickly spotted a cart and used his strength to pick it up and use it as a shield to block the shurikens before throwing it at the Shotokan, which they easily avoided as Vathek continued to run. As he turned one corner, he noticed Cedric slithering after him from behind. Vathek ran into a small alleyway, which Cedric just narrowly squeezed through, but Vathek wasn't done yet. The large blue humanoid spotted a large pile of barrels and tipped them over to block Cedric's path as he was already stuck in pretty hard. But once Vathek made it to the other side, he gave a gasp as he saw Daolan Wang appear in front of him in a plum of dark blue smoke. Wang tried to blast him with dark Kai magic, but rather than avoid it, Vathek ducked under the blast and actually ran toward Wang, much to his surprise, before knocking Wang down into a mud puddle before resuming his run. Meanwhile, Blanc continued to skate across the food in the food stands with the Larvik plowing through the stands after him. However, once the line of stands came to an end, Blanc gave a scream as he saw the Dark Kai enforcers standing in his way. Fortunately for Blanc, the last stand had a cloth roof over it, which he leapt onto and bounced off before bouncing onto a cloth's line and bouncing off that toward a building. He climbed up the downspout and onto the roof. Huh, you know, for a little frog guy, he's pretty good at parkour. Chow observed. Hey, don't let him get away. Finn stated. If we mess this up, Phobos will have our hides. No kidding, last time I brought him the wrong tea and he turned me into an ottoman. Ratso said. The Dark Kai enforcers saw the Larvik beginning to climb up the wall in pursuit of Blanc, so the three of them clung onto the Larvik's back and rode it as it climbed. At the same time, Vathek continued to run, doing his best to dodge the Dark Kai blast shot at him by Daolan Wang as he rode on Cedric's shoulders. However, Vathek soon found his path barred by the Shotokan. So, he turned around and climbed up the boxes near a fence and leapt over the fence, which was blasted away by Wang's magic as they continued the chase. It would appear, however, that Vathek would find sanctuary as he hid behind the door of a nearby blacksmith shop. It would appear that Cedric and Wang didn't notice him as they passed the shop. Vathek noticed the blacksmith inside look at him curiously. Vathek soon brought his finger to his lip, silently telling him to be quiet. However, the blacksmith gasped as the shadows in the shop moved on their own before they began to take the form of 4 Shotokan. The blacksmith screamed as he ran out of the shop as the Shotokan closed in on him. Vathek, however, wasn't about to go down without a fight as he quickly grabbed a tool with a red-hot end from the burning coals and thrusted it in the chest of the first Shotokan to destroy it. He swung it several more times and was able to successfully destroy the remaining 3, but the commotion drew the attention of Wang and Cedric as they blasted their way into the building. Stay back. Vathek held out the tool in front of him. Cedric didn't appear the least bit intimidated. It will cool. At the same time, Blanc was already on the roof with the Larvik right behind him. Nice buggy thingy, he said as he tried to get away, running on the girders, while also avoiding the Dark Kai enforcers as they leapt after him. He ducked underneath Finn's legs, jumped over Chow to land on Ratso and climb off his shoulders before sliding away down the roof on his skates, while also avoiding the web shots from the Larvik's lower regions. Oh, that is just wrong. Finn shook his head in disgust with his friends at seeing the Larvik's webbing. I thought spiders shoot webs. Ratso said. And doesn't it always come from their butt? Don't even wanna know. Chow commented. Meanwhile, back in the blacksmith shop, Vathek continued to hold his makeshift weapon in front of the evil duo. However, Wang nearly shot a dark spell from his scepter that caused the tool to disintegrate in his hands. The Dark Kai wizard laughed. Did you really think an imbecile such as yourself could escape our grasp? Cedric shot his tail to ensnare Vathek by the throat and bring him up to his face. Back up on the rooftops, Blanc continued to skate up and down the slopes of the roofs. Unfortunately, he was ensered in the Larvik's webbing and pinned to the roof. Finn, Ratso, and Chow appeared around the squirming pasling as Finn picked him up. Whoa, hey, will you stop your squirming? Finn exclaimed only to yell as the pasling clung to his face, and got the web stuck on him as well. Ratso and Chow tried to pry Blanc off Finn as the Larvik came in from behind. However, the three Dark Kai warriors tripped on the Larvik and almost slipped down on the roof, but Ratso instinctively reached out to grab the Larvik. The weight of all four of them ended up pulling the Larvik down with them as all five fell and slid down the roof with a simultaneous scream. Vathek was thrown against the wall as the evil duo loomed over him. "You won't win," Vathek stated in defiance. "Caleb and the Guardians will defeat you and return to the princess to the throne. But you are the only one who can tell them the girl's identity," Wong pointed out. "And you aren't going anywhere," Cedric hissed with an evil smile. However, before either villain could act, the entire rooftop collapsed as the Larvik, Dark Kai enforcers, and Blanc all fell into the shop, burying the shocked shapeshifter and wizard underneath the rubble, while also poofing Finn, Ratso, and Chow. Vathek himself was nothing short of stunned, even more so as Blanc emerged from the pile of rubble. "Blue thing. Follow," Blanc told him. Not wanting to waste this opportunity, Vathek followed the pasling out of the blacksmith shop, barreling his way through a couple of Shotokan that attempted to block his path. However, with a blast of dark magic to obliterate the rubble, Daolan Wong, Cedric, and the Larvik all rose and were less than pleased with these developments. Vathek continued to run as he followed Blanc, who followed his own nose to the nearest portal, which happened to be in a nearby alleyway, behind a series of boxes. "Go! Go!" Blanc exclaimed as Vathek pushed away the boxes and the duo ran into the portal just as Wong, Cedric, and the Larvik turned the corner. The portal the earth side led out near an abandoned train track on a hill just above an open carnival. Blanc and Vathek were the first to emerge from it, but they couldn't stop now. "This way! This way!" Blanc led Vathek into a nearby forest and would lead him to Heatherfield. By the time Cedric, Daolan Wong, and the Larvik had emerged from the portal, their quarry had already vanished. "They're gone," Wong exclaimed in frustration as he chained the Larvik with dark magic once more to keep it from running wild. Cedric had undergone another dramatic transformation to assume his human disguise of Rick Hoffman. "Chan and the Guardians will know now of the princess's identity. But they don't know of mine," Cedric commented. "And that may be all the advantage we may need." Heatherfield, Uncle's rare finds. A knock was heard on the back door. Haylin and Jade opened it but looked in surprise at who it was. "Captain Black," Jade stated. "Hey kids, is Jackie here?" Captain Black asked. "Yeah, so are Caleb, Grandma, and the other girls," Haylin answered. Blanc suddenly appeared out of the alleyway. "Girls, Chan clan. Sorry Blanc, but you know you can't touch Uncle's stuff," Jade told the pasling. However, once Vathek stepped out into the open, the group was put on alarm as Captain Black pulled out a pistol. Haylin and Jade made martial arts stances. "Monster alert! Monster alert!" Haylin exclaimed, prompting Jackie, Will, Irma, Cornelia, and Terani to run out. Will immediately brandished the heart and was ready to say the magic words. "No, no, no, good blue thing," Blanc quickly said. "Oh, right, Caleb's friend. Will remembered him now, as did everyone else. Vortuk, right. Vathek," the blue giant corrected. "Jade." Captain Black looked at the girl for an explanation. "Double agent in Phobos Castle. Had to bust in and help him out." Jade gave a quick explanation. "So how ya been?" Irma asked. "You look blue." "I must speak with Caleb," Vathek insisted. "Is it about the heir?" Jackie asked, to which Vathek nodded, as well as Captain Black in confirmation as well. "Come on inside." The group went inside where Caleb, Toru, Uncle, and Yan Lin were as well. Though they were surprised to see the large blue humanoid with them, none was more surprised than Caleb. "Vathek, what are you doing here?" "Caleb, Phobos' sister has been identified," Vathek revealed. "Elion Brown, correct?" Captain Black asked, completely catching Vathek off guard. "How could you have possibly?" "We did a little digging of our own here on Earth," Will revealed. "Friends in high places and all that." Captain Black pulled out a photograph taken much earlier of Elion wearing the Star of Threb and handed it to Vathek. "Yes, that's her." He recognized her as well as the artifact she was wearing. "Is that the Star of Threb?" Yan Lin confirmed. "It is how Phobos was able to locate the heir. I went to Meridian this morning to try and warn you, but I was chased out of the castle before I could find you," Caleb said to his friend. "So, I take it you have confirmation?" Jackie asked Captain Black. "Yes. The head of Section 13 pulled out a series of files and laid them on a table for the group to look at. Elion Brown, daughter of Thomas and Eleanor Brown. Her parents, I know them. Cornelia said. They're really good people. But they're also not from here. Captain Black continued. There's no family records with either of them, no school records or birth certificates. Up until a little more than 12 years ago, neither of them existed. What about Elion? Terani asked. Her birth certificate is forged as well. Captain Black continued. It says she was born in Heatherfield Memorial, but the hospital doesn't have any records regarding her birth. Ultimately, however, thanks to that hair sample of Phobos you gave me, I've confirmed their DNA. Phobos and Elion are, in fact, brother and sister. That hit all the girls, especially Cornelia, real hard. They had suspected it, but to hear confirmation that one of their closest friends was both a princess and Phobos' sister, it was almost too much for Cornelia to process as she almost fell back had Toru not caught her from behind. So, now what do we do? Will asked. Protect her. Obviously. Cornelia stated. If Phobos knows she's his sister, he could send those Shotokan creeps to grab her and, ow. She felt her forehead where Uncle just delivered his dope slap. Phobos cannot take Elion against her will. Uncle stated. Elion not important. Her power as the true heir, is. Jin is correct. Yan Lin added. As the true heir, Elion's power cannot simply be taken. It must be given willingly. If Phobos were to simply kidnap her, she would never trust him, and her powers would be inaccessible to him. So, Phobos will try to sway Elion to his side then. Toru assumed. Yes. Yan Lin nodded. We must not underestimate his cunning. We also know that Cedric is in disguise here on Earth. Jackie added. And we know who he's posing as. So, we jump Cedric and Elion is safe. Problem solved. Cornelia said immediately. Earth to Cornelia, when do the bad guys ever give up? Jade questioned. Phobos and his cronies will just send someone else to try and turn Elion to the dark side. Jade has a point. Cedric isn't the only shapeshifter in Meridian. Caleb said. Phobos could employ a number of them and we'd never know. Hey Lin gasped. What if her new boyfriend is also a shapeshifter? Which is why Elion must take this. Uncle took out a vial of a green liquid. Special Kai spell, once she drinks this, all those of ill intent will be incapable of touching Elion. And how exactly do we get her to drink a magic spell? Irma questioned sarcastically. Just mix it with water or soda. Toru replied. She'll never know. So where is Elion now? Captain Black asked. She and her boyfriend are at the carnival right now. Will answered. Carnival. That's where Portal. Blanc revealed, much to everyone's surprise. Alright, here's the plan. Jackie began. Will, take the girls and Caleb to close the portal and meet Elion at the carnival. Give her the spell and watch her carefully. Toru, you and Uncle go with them just in case anything from Meridian came through. Got it. Will nodded. No problem. Jade gave a thumbs up. Understood. Toru nodded as well. What are you going to do? Terani asked Jackie. I'm going to have a little chat with Cedric. The martial artist answered as he knew exactly where to find him. Not by yourself, you're not, old friend. Captain Black said with crossed arms and a smirk. I'm coming as well. I myself have a few choice words I'd like to give to that snake. Yan Lin offered. I will come as well. Vathek offered. I am sorry, but you must stay. Uncle told the large blue humanoid. I cannot. Vathek stated. After years of searching, we've found the true heir to the throne and Phobos will do anything to get his hands on her. I cannot just, ow. Vathek felt his forehead where Uncle had just dope slapped him. You stay here. Someone must watch the shop. Vathek looked nothing short of stunned. Don't bother arguing with him, Vathek, trust me, you'll never win. Caleb sighed and told his friend. The carnival was in full swing, rides and games everywhere, even clowns wearing long stilt legs paraded through the streets. Elion appeared to be waiting by herself when her date, Brian, joined her with a handful of tickets in his hand. 20 tickets, should be good for about an hour. Brian said. Race ya to the roller coaster. The two laughed as they ran toward the ride. Meanwhile, on the hill just above the carnival, Will had used the heart of Kandrakar to close the portal as she, Jade, Irma, Cornelia, Toru, Terani, Uncle, Heylin, Caleb, and Blanc. Okay, portal is now closed. Jade commented. Mission accomplished. Not yet, Will said as the group looked down at the carnival below. It was open for too long, something else might have gotten through. Anyone see Elion? Cornelia asked as they tried to find her. Lynn saw her standing in line for the roller coaster with her date. She's right there, with Brian. Boy looks shifty. Blanc commented upon seeing the kid. Look in a mirror lately. Jade's eyelids lowered. Will, why not just touch him with the crystal and get it over with? Cornelia asked the redhead. Because I can't reveal a beast in his true form in front of 1,000 people. Will stated. We also don't know for certain that he's a shapeshifter. Toru commented. He could just be a normal person. So how can we tell the difference? Irma asked. With the spell, Uncle took out the vial containing the Kai spell. If Boy touches Elion, he is normal. If he cannot, then he is evil beast. So, all we have to do is get Elion to drink it, no problem. Terani said. Uncle handed Cornelia the spell as she took out a bottle of purple soda. Grape soda, it's her favorite, she said as she opened the bottle and poured the liquid spell into the soda. It flashed green briefly before dissolving. Alright, here's the plan, Will said. If he's not a beast, Cornelia, Jade, Caleb and I will stay close with Elion and make it look like we're hanging out. Lynn, Terani, Irma, you guys keep an eye on things around the carnival. Just because he's not a shapeshifter doesn't mean there aren't any bad guys around. Sensei, Blanc, and I will stay up here, just in case we see anything from this height. Toru said as even Uncle nodded in agreement. Good plan, the Elder Kai wizard said. And if he is a beast? Caleb questioned. Then we pull him to the side and kick his butt. Jade stated as she delivered an airborne kick for emphasis. We'll work out the details later, let's go. Will said as the girls and Caleb all ran down the hill, leaving Uncle, Toru, and Blanc to watch over things from their end. Hey Elion, she heard her name being called as she turned around to see some of her friends greeting her. Oh, hey guys. Elion greeted and then began to introduce them to her new boyfriend. Cornelia, Will, Jade, Caleb, this is Brian. Nice to meet ya. Brian greeted. Yeah you too, Will said, acting casual. Oh, Elion, thirsty. Cornelia offered her the soda bottle that also contained the Kai spell mixed into it. Grape soda. It's my favorite, thank you. Elion took it without hesitation and drank it, along with the Kai spell, with no issue at all. However, she did notice something in it. Tastes a little funny. Probably hasn't been re-irrigated in a while. But it should still be good. Cornelia said. Thanks anyway. Elion smiled, nonetheless. We're gonna check out the bumper cars. Come on. She grabbed Brian's hand and ran off in the direction of the cars. The four of them saw how Elion could touch Brian's hand and there was nothing odd from that. See that? Jade told them. She touched him. So, he's not an evil beast. Will concluded. That's a relief. Cornelia said with a relieved smile. But that doesn't mean she's out of danger. Keep an eye out. Caleb told the group as they followed Elion and Brian. Meanwhile, on the other side of a booth, Lynn had observed everything as she reported to Irma and Terani who acted casual to avoid drawing attention. She drank the spell and touched his hand. Brian is not evil. Great, so now we only have to worry about the 1,000 other people around here that might be a shapeshifter. Irma said in sarcastic humor. You heard what Miss Lynn and Uncle said. Terani commented. The bad guys can't just grab Elion, so they can't exactly make a move here. Speaking of which, I wonder how Grandma and Jackie are doing. Think they can handle Cedric alone? Lynn asked. Well, considering they're being backed up by Section 13, I don't think we have anything to worry about. Terani said. Cedric, still in his human disguises, Rick Hoffman, was in the back room of the bookstore that served as his cover as he reported to the spectral image of Phobos, completely unaware that Jackie Chan had entered the bookstore and was hanging back by a bookshelf near the semi-open door to the back room. My prince, we were unable to capture Vathek, and he has made it to Earth along with the Passling. Cedric reported. Phobos looked more than a little frustrated. Which would mean Chan and the Guardians now likely know of my sister's identity as well. No need to worry, my prince. Cedric assured. They are unaware of my identity, and I have won Elion's trust. I may have to step a little more carefully, but I will secure her for you. And what of Wong? Phobos questioned. keeping a close watch over the princess, as we speak," Cedric said, causing Jackie's eyes to widen slightly while also keeping quiet. "Good. Do not make any rash actions and await my next command," Phobos instructed before his spectral image vanished and Cedric stood up to walk out of the back room. "Finished speaking to your master?" Jackie questioned, revealing himself. Cedric's eyes widened, while keeping his back turned, but put on a friendly smile as he turned around. "Ah, Mr. Jackie Chan, I didn't hear you come in." "That's rather funny," Jackie said. "I don't recall the two of us meeting before, yet you know my name." "Oh, well, your niece speaks rather highly of you." Cedric tried to maintain his facade. However, Jackie wasn't buying it as he glanced behind Cedric to the semi-open door leading to the back room. Jackie tried to rush past Cedric and get inside, but he quickly kicked the door back to slam it shut, causing Jackie's knuckles to impact the door hard. Jackie winced as he waved the pain from his knuckles before turning to face the shapeshifter in disguise. "No more games. I know who you are, Lord Cedric." Cedric gave an audible gasp as his own eyes widened. A scowl soon formed on his face as he casually took off his glasses. "For you to discover my identity so quickly, I admit that I gravely underestimated you, Chan." His eyes turned into slits as he underwent the dramatic transformation to reveal his massive humanoid snake form, which loomed over Jackie, who made a kung fu stance, ready to face him. "A mistake I will not make twice." Cedric roared as he lunged a punch at Jackie, who backflipped to avoid it as it crashed through the floor. Jackie flipped and landed at the top of a large bookshelf, which he tipped over by placing his hands on the ceiling while pushing his feet to tip the shelf over Cedric, causing all the books to pile on top of him. However, as Jackie landed on the ground, Cedric emerged from the pile with a roar before swinging his tail at Jackie, which he flipped to avoid. As Jackie flipped backwards toward another shelf, he quickly began to grab several books and threw them at Cedric. While this would normally be considered a desperate act, Jackie threw with incredible force, and amazing accuracy, to hit Cedric repeatedly in the face, disorienting him as Jackie continued to throw. Some of the pages cut Cedric's face slightly as blood began to ooze. "Paper cut. It's the worst, isn't it?" Jackie said with a grin. Cedric hissed before swinging his tail to smash Jackie's head in. Though Jackie was able to avoid the devastating strike, he was put on the defensive as Cedric tried to deliver more devastating punches, while also tearing up the entire bookstore as they continued to fight. Jackie leapt over a table and quickly flipped it to act as a makeshift shield to block Cedric's next punch. Though the humanoid snake was able to shatter it, it left him open for Jackie to leap into the air and deliver a punch to Cedric's face, knocking the shapeshifter down to the ground. Jackie, however, winced as he waved the pain off his knuckles. However, this also left him open for Cedric to smack him in the back with his tail and send him crashing into the remains of one bookshelf. Jackie pushed some of the rubble out of the way, only to look in surprise as Cedric loomed over him, raising both his fists with the intent of crushing him, only for Cedric to howl in pain as he felt stinging Kai blasts from behind. The one responsible was none other than Yan Lin holding a blowfish in her hand. With Cedric momentarily distracted, Jackie leapt to deliver a flying kick to Cedric's face and send him crashing through several more ruined bookshelves before Jackie landed by Yan Lin's side. "Miss Lin, you can use Kai magic?" Jackie asked in surprise. "Only the basic stun spell," Yan Lin commented. "When your ex is a Kai wizard, you tend to pick up a few tricks." However, their banter was interrupted as Cedric emerged from the rubble once more with a powerful roar. Jackie quickly picked up the elderly woman and leapt out of the bookstore and onto the street. Cedric wasn't too far behind, breaking through the glass windows and doors to get outside. However, Cedric soon came to a halt as the entire area was surrounded by at least 24 Section 13 agents in SWAT uniforms, along with a couple high-tech vans which they used to transport themselves in. The large humanoid snake was covered with multiple laser targets as each agent aimed a rifle at him. Captain Black walked up without even a hint of fear in his eyes. "Mr. Hoffman, you're under arrest." Cedric's eyes narrowed. "Am I?" Right as he said that, multiple shadows from around the block all began to move on their own along the ground and even along the side of the building before they surrounded all the agents of Section 13, along with Jackie and Yan Lin. The shadows took the shape of more than 24 familiar ninja minions. "Shotokan!" Jackie exclaimed in surprise. "Attack!" Cedric ordered the Shotokan as they leapt at the agents, who immediately opened fire with their guns. Though bullets would cause a few of the Shotokan to poof away, several proved too fast for even gunfire as they dealt with the agents with hand-to-hand combat. Captain Black, Jackie, and Yan Lin came together to knock back the Shotokan with fists, guns, or Kai blasts, but Jackie saw Cedric using this as his opportunity to escape as he slithered into an alleyway. "He's getting away," Jackie stated. "Go after him. We got this," Captain Black stated as he shot one Shotokan, with Yan Lin backing him up with stun blasts of her own. Jackie nodded in understanding as he ran in pursuit of Cedric in the alleyway. Seeing the Snake Man already making considerable distance, Jackie ran up the wall toward a nearby fire escape, before swinging on the metal ladder to give him a boost as he landed a flying kick to Cedric's back and knock him down. But Cedric wasn't done yet as he quickly grabbed a dumpster and threw it at Jackie, who could just barely avoid it as he rolled out of the way. However, this gave Cedric an opening to transform back into his humanoid appearance, where he quickly lifted a manhole cover, which he threw at Jackie, who ducked to avoid it, while also giving Cedric a chance to jump into the sewer below. Jackie quickly ran to the exposed manhole and looked down to see Cedric completely vanish. The martial artist gave a disappointed sigh as he pulled himself back up. Cedric had managed to get away, but there was something more important that he had to worry about. Daolan Wong was near Elion right now, as were all the girls along with Uncle, Toru, Caleb. Jackie quickly took out his cell phone and sent a mass text to the group to let them know. Just outside the carnival, Toru looked at the text he got on his own cell phone. "I just got a message from Jackie," he said, getting Blanc and Uncle's attention. Cedric was able to escape, and Daolan Wong is somewhere in the carnival. "Iya!" Uncle exclaimed. "Girls cannot transform into so many people. But evil has no such regards. Blanc see bad wizard," Blanc exclaimed, getting Toru and Uncle's attention as they looked down to see Daolan Wong sneaking into the back door of the haunted house attraction. "Blanc, go get the girls, but tell Caleb to stay with Elion," Toru told the passling. "We can't risk this being a setup," he said as he and Uncle ran toward the haunted house attraction with Blanc going off in a separate direction. Uncle and Toru ran into the haunted house attraction through the back door, finding themselves in a graveyard-like setting as both of them appeared on guard. "Be ready, Toru, the forces of darkness could descend upon us at any moment." They both heard a familiar chuckle belonging to Finn, who leapt down from the ceiling with Ratso and Chow. "Consider yourselves descended upon, Grams." And it wasn't just the Dark Kai enforcers either. Right behind them, the giant centipede monster known as the Larvic roared as it appeared behind the Elder Kai wizard and his apprentice. Uncle's rare finds. Meanwhile, Vathek sat alone on the floor of the Chan's family shop. With nothing else to do, the large blue humanoid decided to skim through Uncle's spell books. However, he did find some things that he found a bit interesting. Kai spells. Vathek rubbed his finger under his chin, quite intrigued as he continued to read. Carnival. As Terani, Lin, and Irma kept their distance but watched over Elion and Brian very carefully, Jade and Caleb hung around closer toward the pair, pretending to hang out. All the while, Cornelia had pulled Will back behind a stand to talk with her in private. "Why are we still following her when she's already drank that Kai spell thing?" Cornelia questioned. "In case you've forgotten, Cornelia, Phobos has his own wizard too. Who, by the way, we just found it is somewhere here in this park." Will pointed out as she showed her the mass text she got from Jackie. "Then let's track him down and not Elion," Cornelia argued. "No more bad guys, no more lying to our friend. What do you think we've been trying to do this entire time?" Will argued back. "We're not ready to beat them yet." "Oh, I'm so sorry, I disagree with you, Ms. Sealer of the Portals," Cornelia exclaimed. "Look, I like Elion too," but, before Will could voice her argument, they heard a familiar scream and saw Blanc running toward them. "Blanc, we told you to stay with Uncle and Toru." "Found bad wizard," Blanc stated as he pointed to the haunted house. "Big man tell Blanc to get all girls." Multiple people screamed as they tried to run out of the haunted house from the roaring Larvic, whom Toru was directly challenging. Meanwhile, Uncle faced off with the Dark Kai enforcers. "You want a piece of Uncle?" he exclaimed as he drew a blowfish and a dried lizard, only for the Dark Kai enforcers to draw their much larger weapons in response, much to Uncle's comic surprise. At the same time, the Larvic shot some webbing out of its chest at Toru and tried to yank him in, despite the large sumo holding his ground. So, something did come through the portal. Caleb stated. Duh. That's kinda what Uncle Jackie just texted us about. Jade reminded as she showed her mass text. Old man say Caleb stay with Elion. Blanc told Caleb. I don't take orders from a passling. The order came from the same old man who'll probably smack you upside the head again for disobeying him. Irma reminded. Seriously Caleb, you have to stay with Elion. We'll handle this, Cornelia told him. Right, got it. Caleb nodded as he walked off to find the girl, leaving the 6 girls as Will took out the heart of Kandrakar. Guardians unite. Back inside the haunted house, both Uncle and Toru were completely answered by the Larvic's web as the creature itself, as well as the Dark Kai enforcers stood over them. Sorry Toru. Ratso apologized. But we got our orders. For what it's worth though, we really did like ya. Even after you became a good guy. Chow commented. Aren't I lucky? Toru said sarcastically. Fortunately for them, salvation came in the form of guardians, along with Jade, whom Terani carried, as they busted in through the windows above to face the Dark Kai enforcers and Larvic. Anybody call for a helping order of J-Witch? Jade called excitedly. I got the bug. Will stated. Terani, Jade, help Toru and Uncle. Everyone else, take down the Dark Kai stooges. She flew directly at the Larvic as everyone else scattered around the area. Will delivered a flying kick to the monster's face to get its attention as it roared and crawled after her as she flew away. Lin, Irma, and Cornelia flew directly at Finn, Ratso, and Chow as Lin shot a powerful gust of wind from her mouth to literally blow away all 3 as the 3 girls landed and took kung fu stances. The Dark Kai enforcers were quick to get back up as they ran and charged the girls. Meanwhile, Terani had set Jade down as she tried to pry the webbing off Uncle and Toru. Okay, since when do caterpillars shoot web? I thought that was for spiders. Jade stated. I'm not even gonna question it. Terani said as she used her fire to burn it away while also being careful not to burn Uncle and Toru by accident. Less talk, more fire. Uncle stated as Jade and Terani were successful in freeing the Elder Kai wizard and his apprentice. Back outside, Elion and Brian continued to wander the carnival as Caleb kept a close watch over her, while also keeping his distance. However, he didn't appear to notice someone else watching Elion from the shadows underneath a ride. So, this is the true heir to Meridian's throne. Daolan Wang thought to himself as he scanned her, so to speak, with his magic scepter, and he could practically see the magic energy surging off her. So much power, he sneered with a grin. Equal to that of the heart of Kandrakar. And soon, it will be mine. But first, she appears to still have a series of anchors to this world. He noted upon observing Brian. It is time to begin severing those anchors. With a wave of his scepter, Daolan Wang had created a small booth which appeared to be something that of a fortune teller, complete with a crystal ball. Daolan Wang himself had donned a hood that completely masked his face. Elion noticed the new stand and actually looked excited. Oh wow, a fortune teller. Let's go check it out. She grabbed Brian's hand as they ran toward it. Caleb still kept watch over the two, but he didn't seem to notice this was another trick from the Dark Kai wizard. Come young ones, look into this crystal ball, so that you may gaze upon your future. The disguised Wang said as he began to recite his dark magic chant, which went unnoticed by the 2 kids in front of them. Elion looked excited, while Brian actually looked nervous. As dark clouds formed in the crystal ball, Elion looked and saw she was a princess. However, this was a mere illusion spell Wang was conjuring as his chant was actually focused on Brian, whose eyes began to glow a faint blue. Back in the haunted house, Will continued to fly and avoid the clumps of webbing the Larvic continued to shoot at her. However, one was able to successfully hit her, sending her crashing and sticking to the ground, keeping her arms stuck to her body as she struggled in the stinky substance. The Larvic loomed over and lunged down at her with the intent of devouring her alive. Fortunately, salvation came in the form of Toru, who had appeared just in time to hold the massive insect back before delivering a powerful punch to its face to knock it back. It reeled back but snarled at Toru, but before it could attack again, the larvic roared in pain as Uncle blasted with multiple stun spells from his blowfish and dried lizard. As Uncle kept the larvic distracted, Toru was able to pry the webbing off of Will and free her. "Thanks, Toru. You're welcome." Toru smiled before they both turned to charge back at the larvic and provide Uncle with some support. Irma shot her hands forward to send a gust of water at Chow, who spun his staff like a helicopter blade, acting as a makeshift shield to block the blasts of water before charging at Irma, swinging his staff at her, which she just barely avoided before shooting up into the air, while Chow jumped after her. "Hey Shades. Heads up." Jade tried to deliver a flying kick to Chow, but he was actually able to catch Jade by the foot before throwing her at Irma, who flew in to catch Jade, but this left her open for Chow to strike her and Jade with his staff and knock them both down. At the same time, Terani threw several fireballs at Finn, who was able to block and slice through each of them with his bladed weapon before he threw it at Terani like a large shuriken, which she ducked to avoid before flying into the air. Unfortunately, the weapon appeared to be tracking her like a homing missile, which Terani tried to knock away with a stream of fire from her palms. The fire just barely slowed it down as it managed to hit Terani with explosive results and send her crashing to the ground. However, she was able to roll away from a flying kick from Finn before he chased after her. Hei Lin, meanwhile, flew into the air to avoid what would have been a devastating hammer strike from Ratso. He then threw his weapon at her and, much like Finn's weapon, the hammer tracked Hei Lin no matter which way she flew. However, she got an idea as she flew down, straight back towards Ratso and over him. Ratso gave a gasp as he saw his own hammer coming after him, however we able to duck and avoid it just in time as it crashed through the wall. "Whoa, that was close," Ratso said as he rubbed his forehead. Cornelia saw this as her opportunity. Using some minor control over wood, she telekinetically pried the wooden boards from the tracks and sent them at Ratso. However, Ratso retrieved his hammer again to bash through each wooden board before leaping into the air and bring the hammer down onto the ground to blast both Cornelia and Hei Lin back. Soon, the 5 guardians, along with Jade, Uncle, and Toru circled up as the larvic came in from one direction, with the Dark Kai enforcers in the other. "We're surrounded," Will exclaimed. "Got that right," Finn said. "I see a hospital in your guys' future." Suddenly, however, a large van came bursting in through the wall before the back opened to reveal Captain Black, along with multiple armed Section 13 agents running out, each armed to the teeth. "And I see prison stripes in your future," Captain Black stated. "Aim for the creepy crawly." He ordered his men as they immediately opened fire onto the larvic, filling it full of holes, but it wasn't enough to kill it as it painfully and angrily roared at them before attacking the agents, who scattered along with Captain Black. "Whoa, who called in the cavalry?" Jade exclaimed as all the heroes were more than a little stunned. "I did," Jackie stated as he ran onto the scene. "Girls, you deal with the enforcers. Uncle, Toru, we will assist in Captain Black against that bug monster." "Got it," Will said as they all nodded and split off. The Dark Kai enforcers were so caught up in the surprise arrival by Section 13, they failed to notice the Guardians flying directly at them until it was too late. Hei Lin and Irma combined their water and wind powers for a powerful storm of icicles which blasted and impaled Ratso, poofing him, while forcing Chow and Finn to scatter. Chow was blasted away by a ball of fire from Terani that likewise poofed him, while Will and Cornelia grabbed Finn by the arms and threw him directly at Jade, who was already leaping at him with another flying kick attack, that was enough to poof him as well. At the same time, the agents in Section 13 continued to shoot at the larvic, who retaliated with more blasts of webbing to ensnare more than half of them. Although the creature already looked gravely weakened from all the oozing bullet holes it was now covered in. Captain Black, however, appeared cornered by the creature. Fortunately, Toru quickly came in from behind to grab the creature by its tail and, with his own incredible strength, pull and swing the larvic right into the wall. It was then pelted once more by several Kai blasts from Uncle before it reared its head straight up for a howl of pain before Jackie leapt up to deal the finishing blow with a punch right into its right eye. This was enough to kill the larvic as its lifeless body now fell to the ground. Jackie pulled out his hand, which was now covered in bug-eye goo, which he tried to wave off with disgust. "I don't suppose Section 13 has a disinfectant for massive magic bugs," Jackie said for just a little bit of humor. Captain Black chuckled. Pretty sure your uncle has one though, he said with a smile, putting a hand on his friend's shoulder as everyone else worked to free the Section 13 agents from their sticky predicaments. Meanwhile, back outside, after paying a visit to that odd fortune teller, Elion and Brian continued to walk through the streets. Jackie, Will, Jade, Irma, Toru, Cornelia, Haylin, Terani, and Uncle had just arrived when they met up with Caleb. "So, do you want to do anything tomorrow night?" Elion asked Brian. "Elion, you're very nice but," Brian began, trying to sound sincere. "You just got too many crazy friends, I'm sorry." He walked away, apparently breaking up with her. "Hey, how's it going?" Haylin walked up to try and speak with Elion, but she said nothing as she ran away, crying. But while the girl did indeed cry, from the shadows, Daolon Wong snickered evilly as he waved his scepter to vanish into a puff of dark blue smoke. Captain Black drove his van while Guardians, Chan Clan, Caleb, Blanc, and Yan Lin all talked about their current predicament. "So Cedric escaped," Caleb said in a grim tone. "Well, can't say I'm surprised. Even if he makes it back to Meridian, he won't cause trouble here again." Captain Black said, "I have Section 13 agents coming the city. If they spot his face, human or otherwise, they'll notify me immediately." "Well, that solves one problem. But what about Elion?" Toru asked. "If she's in danger, how can we know that and not tell her?" Cornelia questioned. "What do we tell her?" Jade asked. "Hey Elion, how are you doing? Oh, did you know that you happen to be some kind of magic princess, and you have an evil older brother that wants to kidnap and brainwash you?" "Well, no, not like that," Cornelia said, "but we should at least tell her about us." "I'm with Cornelia," Irma agreed. "If we tell her about all this, she'll think we're crazy." Terani contradicted. "Yeah, I gotta go with Terani on this." Haylin agreed with the bespectacled girl. "Not if we show her our magic powers and prove that it's all real." Cornelia argued. "No, we can't tell her," Will said. "Even if she does believe us, she'll freak out and panic." "How does that help her?" "Come on Jackie, you're with me on this, right?" Cornelia pleaded with the older man, almost desperately. Jackie sighed. "I agree with Will." The blonde looked shocked, almost betrayed by this. Not everyone is capable of accepting such impacting news, especially with their life in danger. Jackie is right. Even Yan Lin agreed. Elion will find out eventually, but now isn't the time. Cornelia simply scowled as she looked away with crossed arms. "Fine. Besides, now she's protected by a Kai spell, right?" Jade reminded. "So, problem solved." "Problem not solved," Uncle stated. "Elion is protected right now. But forces of darkness still loom over her like a storm cloud. We must be very cautious going forward." "Well, at least this gives us some time to find a more permanent solution," Caleb said as the van came to a halt in front of Uncle's rare finds. The group soon entered the shop but looked in minor surprise at what they saw inside. Vathek was hopping on one foot, shaking a blowfish in one hand, while holding a spell book in the other and reading a spell aloud. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. Vathek's eyes suddenly widened as he was engulfed in a bright flash. The entire group of heroes looked nothing short of stunned to see Vathek's clothes fallen over his new form as a blue frog. "Ribbit. Ooh, big blue thing passling too?" Blanc asked in surprise as Jade, Uncle, Toru, Captain Black and even Jade face-palmed while Yan Lin simply sighed as Caleb, and the other girls were merely stunned. Elion didn't feel like going home to her parents. Instead, she went to the bookstore where someone she truly trusted worked. However, her teary eyes widened in shock as she saw the bookstore in ruins with police tape and officers around it on the radio. "What in? Elion, over here." The girl turned around to an alleyway around the corner to see Cedric, in his human disguise, waving for her to follow him, which she did. "I'm sorry we had to meet under such stressful circumstances." Cedric tried to sound sincere as they were deep in the alleyway. "Cedric, what the heck happened to your store?" Elion exclaimed. "Looks like a bomb went off in there." "That's more or less what happened." Cedric lied. "I had left a kettle of tea on and there was a gas leak so." "Oh, I am so sorry," Elion said sincerely, buying Cedric's lies. "It's nothing to worry about, thankfully nobody was hurt," Cedric replied. Well, I was hoping I could talk to you, but you seem to be having problems of your own, so I won't bother you. Elion was about to walk away. If you'd like, we could talk at my home. It's not far from. However, once Cedric put his hand on her shoulder, a spark of green energy shot into his hand, causing him to hiss in pain as he pulled his hand away. Cedric, are you okay? Elion asked with concern. Yes, I'm fine. Just a bit of static, is all. Cedric brushed off, hiding his smoking hand behind his back. Listen Elion, I hate to leave you, but there is something urgent I must attend to, my insurance payments for what has happened to my store. But I assure you that I will reach out the second I am available. Okay, I'd like that. Elion smiled as she turned around to walk away. Once she was gone, however, a scowl appeared on Cedric's face as he looked to his hand to see some burn marks. A spell. Most likely that old wizard. This is going to be more difficult than I thought. But, not impossible. Stop the presses. How could they have discovered you? Phobos exclaimed to Cedric as he was in his human form and kneeled to his prince, with Daolon Wong by his side. I've underestimated not only Jackie Chan, but the forces of Earth as well. Cedric said as he kept his head bowed. Even without magic, they are formidable. But, while I have successfully captured the princess's trust, I'm afraid that I am unable to touch her. What do you mean? Phobos narrowed his rage-filled eyes at the shapeshifter who revealed his hand to show some minor burn marks. When I attempted to touch young Elion, some magic force prevented me from doing so. Cedric revealed. Daolon Wong walked over to inspect Cedric's hand as he waved his scepter, enabling him to see a faint green vapor emanating from the burn marks. A Kai spell, no doubt the wizard's handiwork. This is unacceptable. Phobos exclaimed as he stood by an odd device that had a large glass orb at the top of a small tree-like object, with 3 smaller orbs around it. In order for me to acquire my sister's power, I need to perform the ceremony of amalgamation. Which I am unable to do if she cannot be touched. I can acquire 2 of the 3 items without directly touching the princess herself. Wong proposed. And I shall get to work on a counter spell that will enable us to touch her. Do what you will, but know this Daolon Wong, if you fail me, there will be dire consequences. Phobos warned. Earth, Sheffield Institute. Is our school paper totally lame? Elion asked as she stood in the hallway with Jade, Will, Cornelia, Alchemy, Irma, Terani, and Hei Lin. What's more than totally? Irma questioned sarcastically. How about, I'd rather listen to Uncle's ramblings than read this. Jade said. Teacher Park's too close to fire hydrant, almost. Will read one section aloud for emphasis and was less than impressed. Wheat rolls in the cafeteria, the untold story. Hei Lin also read aloud. And the photos. Terani criticized. Look at this picture of a wheat roll. I think that's a teacher. Mr. Collins, maybe. Alchemy said, which only further illustrated the lackluster in the rather boring school newspaper. Terani suddenly got an idea. Hey guys, why don't we see if we can help them out on the paper? Jade scoffed. I'd rather be eaten alive by demons. You got some crazy imagination, Jade. Elion pointed out as most of the girls winced slightly, knowing it wasn't just Jade's imagination talking. Speaking of pictures, how about the ones with me? Cornelia asked. There aren't any. Alchemy said. Exactly. They call this a paper. Cornelia purposely dropped the paper on the floor. Jade however noticed Mr. Collins coming around the corner. Guys, incoming teacher. She warned as the group picked up the papers and tried to act innocent and less critical. Hey Mr. Collins. Will greeted. Nice newspaper. You really think so? I'm the staff supervisor, ya know. He revealed, as all 8 girls looked at the bottom of the paper and only just realized now that he was as his name was typed at the bottom. Hei Lin tried to come up with a compliment. Oh, we love it at the restaurant for wrapping fish guts. The other girls winced, including Hei Lin herself who realized what she just said. However, Collins didn't appear offended and didn't seem all that surprised either. I had only 5 students on it, and the editor quit, so we're down to 4. I don't suppose any of you would. However, nearly all the girls vanished from sight, all except for Terani who was eagerly raising her hand, volunteering. Irma had attempted to escape with the other girls but had tripped over her own books. Great! Collins exclaimed with a smile. Terani and Irma, consider yourselves the paper's new editors. he announced as Martin walked onto the scene. Sweet. Terani smiled. Irma however sulked as she sat on the floor. Evenings and weekends at school. Okay, could it get any worse? Greetings Madam Boss. Martin walked up to her with a smile. Now we can be together all the time. Journalism's more than just what happened, it's why. Terani said to the staff of the school paper consisting of Irma, Martin, Uriah, along with Bess and Courtney Grumper, and some other random girl. Isn't getting to the truth why we joined the school paper. We wanted to write about clothes. Bess said, referring to herself and her sister. I got detention. Uriah said, completely uninterested in what Terani was saying. It was this or clean toilets. Is that job still open? Irma asked. We need to put out a paper that matters. Terani continued. No more silly things about wheat rolls. Real stories that really matter. Yes. Martin exclaimed in full agreement. Research. Facts checking. Terani continued. I hear you, sister. Martin stated with a wide grin and salute. Let's get to the truth people. Terani finished. Hallelujah. I'll do it. Martin already ran out with his camera. Irma sulked further into her chair. Newsflash. I hate my life. Meanwhile, as the students were all in class, a pair of shadows moved along the floor in the hallway and came to a stop near a certain locker. The shadows morphed and shifted to reveal two Shadokan who easily broke the lock off the locker to acquire some of its contents. Elion saw that her locker door had been broken and the oddest of things had been taken. Now who would break into my locker, and then just take my hairbrush and math test I made a perfect score on? Will, Jade, Cornelia, and Lynn heard what she said as they each gasped. Cornelia put a hand on Will's shoulder and spoke in a tone that Elion wouldn't hear. It's gotta be Phobos, we have to warn her. We're not even sure this has anything to do with him. Will replied. Let's just talk with Jackie when we school's out. Jade suggested. Yeah, good idea. Lynn agreed, while Cornelia looked rather unsure as she glanced at Elion who continued to look oddly at her broken locker. Meridian, Phobos Castle. The two Shadokan Daolan Wang had sent were on their knees as they each presented to Wang and Phobos the stolen hairbrush and math test. My prince, I have acquired representations of Elion's mind and body. Wang showed the Dark Prince. Excellent. Phobos smirked as he took the two items and placed them in two of the smaller orbs within the device. Enter spirit. I trust you have a counter spell in place so that you or Cedric can touch her. That has proven to be more difficult than I anticipated. Daolan Wang explained as Phobos clenched his fists in anger. Just from the remnants of the good Kai on Cedric's wound, I can tell that the spell placed on the princess is more complex than I thought. Without knowing the contents of the spell, I cannot make a proper counter spell. Of course, the only one who knows the contents of the spell is the wizard who cast it. Then find that wizard and bring him here. Phobos ordered. I will force the information out of him myself if I have to. Earth. Silver Dragon. Jade, Will, Cornelia, and Lynn met with Jackie, Uncle, Caleb, Toru, and Yan Lin at the Silver Dragon as the girls told them what had happened at the school, and it seemed that Yan Lin knew exactly what it meant. It is beginning, Yan Lin said. Phobos is preparing for the ceremony of the amalgamation. What is that? Jackie asked. It is a very potent type of magic that will further attract Elion to Meridian. Yan Lin explained. Hair for body, perfect test for her mind. Spirit is hardest, he must capture her breath. If one of his creatures even thinks he's getting that close to her, just let him try. Caleb performed a roundhouse kick for emphasis, only to accidentally break a lamp with his kick. Smooth move, rebel boy. Jade cracked. Caleb winced upon his mistake. Okay, that's 5 lamps I owe you. Caleb, they were all worthy foes. Yan Lin joked slightly before becoming serious as she continued to explain. But once he's performed the ceremony, a part of her is already in Meridian. Her resistance to his emissaries' appeals will weaken. That's why Elion needs to know. Cornelia persisted. Cornelia, we've been over this. Will argued. If we tell her, she either won't believe us, or she'll believe us and totally freak. How does that help her? Uncle Jackie, can't you get Section 13 to watch her? Lynn asked. I already spoke with Captain Black and they have Elion currently under surveillance. Jackie answered. What about Cedric? Has Section 13 found him yet? Caleb asked. No, more than likely he's returned to Meridian. Jackie answered. Besides, Elion's already protected by a Kai spell, right? Jade asked. And Phobos has to capture her breath, or whatever to complete this ceremony thing, but if he and his goon squad can't touch her, he can't perform the ceremony. Even so, we cannot afford to let our guard down, Jade. Toru said. Don't forget, Phobos has a Kai wizard of his own. It is possible for Daolon Wong to create a counter spell. Possible, but not likely. Uncle stated. Uncle spent weeks toiling over Cauldron to make complex protection spell for Elion. If Daolon Wong wants to create a counter spell, he must make an equally complex spell himself. But only Uncle knows the contents of the protection spell. He pointed to his head for emphasis. Oh, so you guys won't let me warn her, but you're relying on old man's protection spell, and letting a government organization watch her like she's a terrorist. Cornelia protested. Yan Lin shook her finger. Cornelia, you must respect Will's instincts and Jackie's experience. Yeah, Uncle Jackie and I have been through so much evil shenanigans. Trust us, the Chan clan knows what we're doing. Jade added. Cornelia looked as though she was about to protest, but Jackie put a firm yet gentle hand on her shoulder. Cornelia, I understand you feel concerned for Elion, and you're right to be concerned. But we can't afford to tell her while her life is in danger. She'll learn the truth eventually, but now is not the time. The blonde looked toward Caleb for any possible support, who could only give a small sigh. Sorry, but I gotta go with Will and Jackie on this one. This resulted in Cornelia lowering herself in the form of a sad sulk. So long as the protection spell remains in place, Elion is safe. Toru said, out of reach from the forces of darkness. As much as Uncle wanted to believe them, he knew from personal experience that they can't let their guard down. As long as Phobos, Daolon Wong, and Cedric remain free, nothing is truly safe. Will suddenly felt a familiar pulsing from her jacket. She took out the heart of Kandrakar, as well as the map she carried. Once she placed the map on the table and lowered the heart, an X formed to reveal a newly opened portal. Uh-oh, looks like we got another portal. Jade said as the group was now on high alert. It looks like this one opened up at the school. Hey Lin observed. Phobos is shaping the veil so all the holes in it are near his sister. Yan Lin said. Terani and Irma are at the school right now. Will exclaimed. Sheffield Institute. It was already nighttime as Irma and Terani were still in the middle of a meeting with most of the school paper's staff trying to find their next story. Okay, this is really big. Bess said to Terani while Irma just looked bored out of her head. Greta Marano wore her blue plaid skirt twice this week. Courtney said. Terani was far from impressed. Okay, that's not exactly a story. Ooh, just print it and let's go. Irma practically begged as Uriah laughed and chucked a paper ball at her head. Suddenly everyone heard loud crash that pretty much echoed throughout most of the school. What was that? Irma questioned. Well, Martin said he wasn't coming in until he had a huge story, Terani responded. Which means he's in the cafeteria, and that was probably him knocking over all the bud pans. Cafeteria. Martin was indeed in the cafeteria, hiding behind the main lunch counter. However, it wasn't him that made all the noise, something else did, and he was going to find out what with his trusty camera. He peeked out from his hiding spot to see several chairs fall down and move on their own. He almost screamed but covered his own mouth and hid behind the counter again. A good reporter stays calm, he said to himself as he peeked out to try and take a picture of what he saw but found nothing. However, Martin heard a crash from the plates in the kitchen behind him before an invisible force shot past him and into the dining area, where it began to knock down all the chairs that it had ran past before rushing out the door, leaving a trail of purple slime. Martin didn't hesitate to take pictures of the whole thing. Once he had what he needed, he rushed out of the cafeteria. However, Martin failed to notice that this invisible creature had some form of collar around its neck, a collar made out of dark blue energy that chained it to a scepter being held by Daolon Wong, who remained in the shadows with an evil smirk. Martin rushed into the editing room with a triumphant yell. Exclusive story. School ghost. Photos to come. Nobody seemed to believe him, however. Martin, I told you. That's called air conditioning. No, I saw it this time. Martin said. Oh well, I didn't see it, but I saw what it did. Or what it had done, but you'll see. He ran into another room to get the photos developed. Meanwhile, in the school's basement, Jackie, Will, Jade, Haylin, Toru, Uncle, Cornelia, and Caleb had all arrived at the open porta, and Will was more than ready to use the heart of Kandrakar to close it. "Wait, don't close the portal," Caleb stated. "Why not?" Jackie asked. "Something may have come through, look." Caleb shined a flashlight around the corner to show a trail of purple slime. "What is it?" Toru as Caleb kneeled down to inspect the substance. "This can only come from one thing, a Hermenuta beast," the young rebel revealed. Jade winced. "I'm afraid to ask." Uncle suddenly felt a chill go down his spine. Hermenuta beast not important. Daolan Wang is near. With that revelation, the entire group was on the defensive, ready to strike out at anything that might attack them. "Closer than you think, novice." Daolan Wang stepped out of the shadows, revealing the Hermenuta beast he kept chained via his magic to his scepter. The beast looked similar to that of a pig as it squealed in despair, turning visible and invisible over and over. Haylin seemed the most offended by what Wang has done. "Hey, how dare you chain an innocent animal like that? We'll take it back home after we put the smack down on this guy," Will stated as she held the heart of Kandrakar. Guardians unite. With another flashy transformation, Will, Cornelia, and Haylin had transformed into their respective guardian forms as they stood alongside Jackie, Jade, Caleb, Uncle, and Toru. Gon, Ren, Kui. Daolan Wang had summoned the Dark Kai enforcers to his side. "Destroy them," he ordered his warriors while also letting the Hermenuta beast loose. The creature turned invisible as it charged and frightfully knocked down the heroes, giving the Dark Kai enforcers an opportunity to leap at them while they were down with their respective weapons. However, the heroes were quick to recover as they engaged the enemy. However, Jackie saw the invisible pig-like creature run up the stairs, leaving a trail of purple slime. "Jade, get the Hermenuta beast," Jackie stated as he avoided slashes from Finn's bladed weapon. "Got it." Jade nodded as she ran up the stairs to try and catch up with it. However, Wang smirked in the direction she ran and disappeared in a puff of blue smoke which followed up in the same path. "He is going after Jade," Toru exclaimed as he tried to push Ratso back. "I will protect Jade," Uncle quickly said as he ran up the stairs, leaving the 6 heroes to deal with the Dark Kai enforcers. Finn threw his bladed weapon towards Will as she tried to fly away, though the weapon tracked her like a homing missile. Jackie tried to attack Finn directly with a flying kick, but the enforcer was able to block it by crossing his arms and used his own strength as a Dark Kai warrior to force Jackie back before going on the offensive as his weapon returned. However, this left him open for Will to fly down with a punch to Finn's jaw and knock him back. Chow circled around Caleb with his staff as the young rebel picked up a stray map and spun it around like a master before motioning with his hand to bring it on, which Chow accepted as he swung his staff, which Caleb attempted to parry with his mop. Chow appeared to have the advantage however as he swept his feet to knock Caleb down, but Cornelia quickly flew to his defense as she used her powers over wood to lift Caleb's mop and spin at a rate like a buzzsaw to keep Chow on the defensive as he tried to block it. Toru was sent crashing through the wall with a swing from Ratso's hammer, but Haylin landed in front of the downed sumo to blast Ratso back with a gust of wind from her mouth to knock Ratso back. However, he remained on his feet as he threw his hammer at the pair, forcing Haylin and Toru to split up and avoid the devastating impact the hammer left on the wall. Back upstairs, Jade appeared to have the Hermenuta beast cornered as it turned visible. Though Jade was slightly freaked out by its purple drool, she tried to act calm and collected. "Whoa, it's okay little guy. I'm not gonna hurt you." Jade tried to ease the creature while slowly walking toward it. "Come on little piggy, hold still for Jade." However, Jade didn't notice Daolan Wang materializing from a puff of dark blue smoke behind her, but the Hermenuta beast did. The second the pig-like creature saw him, it gave a frightened squeak as it turned invisible and ran into Jade. However, Jade tried to hold onto its invisible body to stop it only to get carried off with a scream. Daolan Wang gave an amused laugh as he saw this, however, he was forced to quickly conjure a dark shield to protect himself from Kai blasts from Uncle as the old, yet nimble, Kai wizard flipped over him to land in front of the dark wizard. "I must admit I've underestimated you, good wizard," Daolan Wang said, "for you to create such a potent spell to protect the princess. So that is why you are here." Uncle realized. "You do wish to create a counter spell. Of course, and you will tell me how to make it." Wang sneered. Uncle gave an applaud gasp. That uncle cannot do. I don't recall giving you a choice. Wang blasted a stream of dark Kai at uncle, who retaliated with a blast of good Kai magic from his blowfish, locking himself and Wang in a beam struggle. After all the other staff members left the school, if only because it was so late at night, Irma couldn't help but let out an annoyed groan. Can you believe Martin? Ghosts. I mean, really. Not that I believe him or anything, but we have seen some pretty crazy things since we meet Jackie and the others. Terani pointed out. True. Irma shrugged. However, their attention was quickly caught by the mixed sounds of screaming and a pig-like squeal as the invisible Hermanuta beast came around the corner, with Jade still holding on the top of it. Terani and Irma didn't have time to voice their surprise as the invisible beast rammed through them, knocking Jade off in the process as it continued to run through the hallways, leaving a trail of purple slime as it ran. Wah! Jade! Terani exclaimed as all three of them were covered in purple saliva. Hey guys, Jade groaned slightly as they pulled themselves up. So there really is a ghost? Irma questioned in surprise before she almost gagged at the slime that covered her body. Please tell me this is just ectoplasm. Well, not so much a ghost, but more like an invisible pig. Jade answered. And that's the least of our worries right now. Uncle ran along the wall as he continued to blast stun spells at Wang with his blowfish as the dark wizard retaliated with his own dark Kai spells. The two leapt at each other as Uncle grabbed Wang's wrist of the hand that held his scepter, while Wang grabbed the wrist of Uncle that was holding the blowfish. They spun around in midair, almost in slow motion, as they tried to blast their respective spells at each other's heads before landing on the ground. You are headstrong, wizard. Wang said. But not for long, he smirked as a pair of Shadokans suddenly appeared above Uncle. The only reaction the Elder Kai wizard could give was a surprised gasp before he was knocked unconscious with a neck chop from one Shadokan. The two ninjas picked up Uncle's unconscious body as Wang got back up as well. Hey! They turned to see Jade, Irma, and Terani arrive on the scene from around the corner. Get your hands off the youngster. The three tried to rush in and help, only to be blasted back by Wang. Your youngster and myself have much to discuss. Wang said before he waved his scepter, creating a large plum of dark blue smoke to engulf himself, the two Shadokan accompanying him, and the unconscious uncle before they all vanished completely. Back in the basement, Jackie, Will, Toru, Heilin, Caleb, and Cornelia continued their battle against Finn, Ratso, and Chow, and it seemed like they were evenly matched for the most part. Huh, you know I'm really gonna miss these little get-togethers. Chow said. We sure gonna miss ya guys. Ratso also said as they were ready to throw their weapons at the heroes. Say goodbye, Chan, Finn stated. However, before they could even think about attacking, they suddenly poofed and vanished, much to the heroes' confusion. Goodbye, Chan. Jackie said in a confused tone of voice. What just happened? Will asked. Please tell me they just gave up and ran home. Cornelia hopped. Guys. They all looked in surprise to hear Terani calling them as she ran downstairs with Jade and Irma. Daolan Wang just captured Uncle. That hit all of them like a load of bricks as they all gave surprised gasps. What? Toru and Jackie both exclaimed in shock as they all exchanged looks of worry and fear with one another. The Silver Dragon. After revealing that Uncle had been captured, Jackie went with Caleb through the school's portal to Meridian to try and scout Phobos Castle and find a way to rescue Uncle. Of course, Toru, Jade, and the Guardians were more than willing to join them, but Jackie insisted they stay back just in case this proved to be a trap, as this was merely a scouting mission. So Toru escorted all 6 girls back to Heilin's family restaurant, though none of them could contain their own fear. Even Cornelia seemed more than a little bit worried. Poor Uncle, I hope he's okay. Heilin said. Sensei is strong, I'm sure he'll be just fine. Toru offered his opinion, though he himself was more than a little worried for his beloved sensei. What I don't get is why Wang would even bother taking Uncle. Cornelia said. I mean, what can Phobos even gain from that? Because Jin was the one who created the Kai spell that is currently protecting Elion. Yan Lin answered as she arrived onto the scene. Which means Phobos took him so that Wang can make a counter spell. Will exclaimed with realization as it set in for everyone, with most of the girls giving audible gasps. So, what are we waiting for then? Jade was already on her feet. Let's grab the talismans, storm through the portal, and go full Rambo on them. Jade, you know how hard it is to sneak into Phobos Castle. Terani protested. We've done it before, haven't we? Jade reminded. Exactly. Terani continued. And since his minions took Uncle, it means he's going to be expecting us. We'd be walking head first into a trap. Yeah, I'm with Terani. Irma agreed. But, Jade was about to protest when the shop's door opened. They're right, Jade, Jackie said as he and Caleb arrived into the restaurant. Jackie, Caleb, Will stated, standing up with everyone else. What did you guys find? Phobos has his castle under complete lockdown. Jackie answered. It was almost impossible just sneaking in through the castle town below. He has guards and Shotokan all over the place. Caleb added. He's had his guard up ever since Vathek escaped. He really doesn't want anyone in his castle. So now can we warn Elion? Cornelia questioned. Considering, Phobos might have a way to get to her now. What would you have us do, Cornelia? Will questioned. Tell her she has a psycho older brother who wants to brainwash her. Lock her up in section 13 till this whole thing blows over. Well no, but the blonde tried to protest, but Yanlin held up her hand to stop her. We are in a very delicate situation, Cornelia. The former guardian said. If we act rash, we may be simply throwing gas onto a fire. We have to step very carefully. What about our little ghost problem? Irma asked, referring to the Hermenuta beast. The Hermenuta beast can wait, Sensei needs our help even more. Toru asked. We have to rescue him. And we will, but we need to come up with a plan. Jackie said. Nearly every possible entrance into Phobos Castle is either blocked off or guarded. Caleb said. If we're going to sneak in, we need someone who knows Phobos Castle better than Phobos himself. Someone who can get in through even the tiniest cracks. Almost on K, the group heard a shaking noise from a nearby trash can. Heylin walked over and removed the lid to reveal Blanc eating some of the trash from the bin. The long search is over. Yanlin commented. Blanc, can you figure out a way into Phobos Castle? Will asked the passling. He crawled out of the bin and onto the floor. Blanc report for duty. Tell good guys all secrets of Evil Castle. Offer low fee. Yanlin presented a fortune cookie from a tray on a table, which Blanc didn't hesitate to eat, not even bothering to read the fortune inside. Fee deposited, Blanc help. Alright. Jackie began. Blanc, Caleb, Toru, Miss Lin and I will come up with a plan. You girls go home and get some rest. Are you sure there's nothing we else can do? Terani asked. Once we have a plan, we'll tell you immediately. Toru said. But I believe that Sensei will surprise us. Oh, I'm quite certain of that myself. Yanlin added. Girls, please remember this is Jin-chan we are talking about. The 6 girls had to think back a small bit as they reminded themselves just what kind of person Uncle was, which caused them to relax, and even Jade to smirk. Though they were all still worried about him, they knew he could handle himself. Knowing Uncle's personality and stubbornness, if anything they actually felt a tad sorry for Phobos. Meridian, Phobos Castle. So, the Prince of Darkness wants a piece of Uncle. The Elder Kai wizard challenged as he was brought into Phobos' throne room, his hands tied behind his back as he was surrounded by multiple guards, including Daolon Wang. Phobos is a glutton for punishment after the butt-kicking Uncle gave you. The only thing I desire from you, wizard, is your knowledge. Phobos stated as he continued to sit on his throne. I know you placed a spell on my sister, tell me how to remove it. Ancient proverb. None of your beeswax. Uncle stated in defiance. Phobos growled as he motioned for multiple thorny vines to emerge from the ground, ensnare Uncle, and bring him closer to the Dark Prince. Do I look like I'm in the mood for games? I will make this simple. You will tell me how to remove your spell from Elion, or I will see to it you suffer endlessly. Uncle wasn't the least bit intimidated by Phobos, however. What is hexed, cannot be unhexed. Then you will create a counter spell immediately, ow. Phobos did not expect Uncle to deliver a dope slap to his forehead, despite Uncle's hands being previously tied. Why should I create counter spell for Naughty Prince, when you have a wizard of your own? Uncle questioned, gesturing to Daolon Wang. Phobos' eyebrow twitched slightly as he was more than ready to silence Uncle permanently, but before he could, Daolon Wang spoke up. My prince, if I may. I believe I know of a way he may give us what he need, but it will take some time for me to prepare. Time is growing short, Wang. Phobos said in a low growl. The ceremony of the amalgamation must be completed soon. Foolish prince will not succeed. Uncle stated, only irritating Phobos even more. This wizard is headstrong and stubborn to a fault. Wang said to the Dark Prince. It's little wonder his nephew is so persistent. We may not get what we need from him by force in time to complete the ceremony. However, I promise that I can have him prepared to give the information we need in less than 24 hours. Phobos knew Wang was right. If the ceremony failed, any chance at bringing Elion to his side would be lost. It wasn't just that, however, he knew how strong and resourceful the Guardians and Chan all were. The longer he waited, the greater the risk they'd come to rescue the old wizard, even with the heavy guard he placed on his castle. He motioned for the vines to lower, allowing the guards to grab Uncle. Do what you must, Wang. Phobos nodded to him, allowing Wang to sneer evilly as Uncle could only glare. Earth, Sheffield Institute, the next day. Ghosts to the left of me, ghosts to the right, I fought. Martin recalled his thrilling tale to the class. But I was outnumbered, and one lifted a desk. Last time you said a chair. One student pointed out. It was one of those desk chair thingies a lot of schools are using now, okay. Martin replied. Please, hold your questions until the end. Let's get back to studying geography, not ghosts. The teacher told Martin. Jade soon whispered to Will. Captain Black had a Section 13 team watch the school all night last night, they got nothing. Guess even alien pigs got asleep. Suddenly, a series of loud crashes was heard outside the classroom. The teacher and the entire class looked outside and gave surprised gasps and yells to see purple slime all over the floors and lockers. Aha! Ectoplasm. Martin already had his camera out and began taking pictures. Sorry Teach, geography takes a backseat to the people's right to know the truth. Meridian. Uncle was strapped to a table as Daolon Wang had his hands placed on Uncle's head as he recited his dark magic chant. Uncle, in turn, recited his own chant to try and resist Wang's spell. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. They had been going like this for several hours now, and it seemed like it would go on even longer. However, despite Uncle's best efforts, Daolon Wang proved to be much stronger as Uncle slowly lost his focus from a lack of sleep. Once Wang had broken through, a purple smoke escaped from Uncle's forehead as it seemed like his body had lost consciousness. The smoke then flowed behind Wang as he continued to recite his chant, which then flowed into a purple crystal orb. Suddenly, Uncle's transparent head formed inside the orb. Aiya! The elder wizard exclaimed in shock at seeing his new state. What has happened to Uncle's body? He questioned once he saw his own unresponsive body. Your body still lives, Wang answered. But your spirit is now trapped outside of it. And soon, you will divulge to me all your secrets. Earth, Sheffield Institute. It seemed like the entire school was in an uproar as every student, and even a few teachers, were up and about looking for this mysterious ghost, or whatever was leaving behind a trail of purple slime all across the hallway. Jade, Irma, Will, Hei Lin, Cornelia, and Terani all met up away from a group to speak in private. So far, Martin has nothing. Irma said. And what he says, no one believes. Good thing he's unpopular. Hei Lin commented. I got a text from Uncle Jackie. Jade said. We got a plan to rescue Uncle and we're meeting at the Silver Dragon tonight. So, we'll get Uncle back and get that pig thing back home at the same time, but we can't let anyone see us do it as J-Witch. Will said. So, we'll do it tonight after everyone leaves the school. Terani said. I can give the newspaper team the night off. Let's hope Phobos didn't get anything out of the old-timer. Cornelia hoped. I swear I'm gonna laugh my butt off if Phobos' forehead is red. Jade smirked, an image the other girls snickered at. However, the girls saw Martin walking by with a sleeping bag. Martin, you got a slumber party planned or something? Irma questioned. Oh, I'm staking out this joint, day and night. Martin said eagerly, much to the girls' frustration. Meridian, Phobos Castle. Daolon Wang had returned to the Dark Prince's throne room to present the imprisoned uncle's head inside the crystal orb. Though Phobos himself looked rather perplexed. Wang, care to explain? My prince, this is the orb of Quan Lo. Wang explained. It'll expose all thoughts that the captive holds most dear. No one has ever been able to keep a secret from me with this. Phobos smirked evilly as he stepped down from his throne to address Uncle directly. Not so defiant now, are you, wizard? This will be your last chance. If you tell me how to create a counterspell for Elion, I will not only return you to your body, but even release you to Earth. Continue to resist me, however, and I will show no mercy. Uncle gave a small sigh. Very well, listen closely. Both Phobos and Wong leaned in close to the orb as Uncle spoke. You may find what you are looking for in a secret place. Very close to, however, once they were close enough, Uncle spat out his tongue to blow raspberries at the duo, much to their frustration. Phobos growled. I gave you your chance. Wong, do what you must. With pleasure. Wong sneered as he used his magic to make the orb glow and expose some of Uncle's thoughts. However, the image of a sandwich appeared in the orb, much to Phobos and Wong's surprise. Mung bean sandwich. Uncle is hungry. Go deeper. Phobos ordered. I shall peel back the layers. Wong pried even deeper. However, this time, the image of Phobos and Wong, both bent over, appeared with Uncle himself delivering a paddle strike to each of their rear ends. What is this? Your destiny, evil ones. Uncle trolled. At this point, Phobos had nearly lost all his patience and was more than tempted to end Uncle's life right then and there, and it took all his self-control to prevent him from doing so. You might just be the most stubborn soul I've ever met. But you only delay the inevitable. Fret not, I shall travel even deeper, into the very recesses of his mind. Wong used his magic again. This time, he found what he had needed as he learned the precise ingredients for the protection spell. Yes, Wong sneered. My prince, I have what I need. It may take some time, but I promise by tonight, you will have a proper counterspell. Phobos smiled evilly. Excellent. As the Dark Prince let loose an evil laugh, Uncle himself looked down in shame. Earth, Silver Dragon. Once classes got out, the girls all met up with Jackie, Caleb, Toru, and Blanc at the Silver Dragon to discuss their plan. Jackie had a picture drawn of Phobos' castle as he began to relay instructions to everyone. Alright, we have to rescue Uncle. Jackie began. But at the same time, we have to get that Hermenuta beast back into Meridian through the portal. So, here's the plan, Blanc, and I will go to Meridian to rescue Uncle, while the rest of you capture the beast. How are you guys gonna get in if Phobos has his entire castle under lockdown? Terani asked. Blanc, no secret way in. The Pasling said as he pointed to the picture of the castle, specifically through the bottom. Through same tunnel we used to escape W.I.T.C.H. Back during our first adventure together. Cool. Jade said with a smirk. There are likely two places Phobos would keep the old man. Caleb said. Either in his throne room, or in Daolan Wang's chambers. Blanc know where evil wizard stays. Blanc pointed out. Jackie, even when you and will get into the castle, I imagine that navigating through it, not to mention escaping it, will be incredibly difficult. Toru guessed. I know, that is why we will be using these. Jackie took out 5 of the talismans, specifically the dragon, snake, rabbit, rooster, and horse. We're using the talismans. Will asked in surprise as the other girls didn't expect Jackie to suggest something like that considering he always talked about how dangerous they were. I will be using the rabbit talisman. Jackie clarified. Will, you will use the snake and dragon for both stealth and extra firepower just in case. He handed the 2 to the redhead. Jade, you'll be helping the others with the Hermenuta beast, so take the rooster and the horse just in case one of you is injured. He handed the 2 aforementioned talismans to his niece. No problem, you got it, Uncle Jackie. Jade nodded. Looks like we have a plan then. It's time for J-Witch. Hey Lin exclaimed excitedly. One little problem though. Terani pointed out. Martin's sleeping at the school to get his big scoop. Hey Lin sighed and sulked into her chair. Oh, and he's stubborn. Nothing could get him to leave the school. Oh, I wouldn't say that. Jade shared a knowing look with Cornelia. Yeah, I can think of one thing that might. The blonde smirked. What? Irma asked as Jade and Cornelia gave her knowing expressions. Her own eyes widened once she realized what they were implying. No way. I won't do it. Forget it. He's a total creep. Ah, don't worry Irma, Martin's not all that bad. Jade smirked, which Irma reacted with a heated glare. I said, no. And I mean it. Irma exclaimed. Irma, please. Jackie spoke to her in a calm and understanding tone. I understand if this is uncomfortable for you, but this could be a matter of life and death. Not just for Uncle, but possibly for Elion as well. As much as Irma didn't want to admit it, she knew they were right. This could mean the difference between life and death, and if anyone could get Martin to leave the school, it would be her, no matter how much she didn't want it to be. Fine. But you guys owe me big for this. Night had fallen once again over Sheffield Institute, and rain even poured down as well. Martin worked with his camera in the school paper's editing room when he saw Irma walk in. She had a jacket over a rather nice and attractive outfit consisting of a red sleeveless top, a green skirt, red boots with fishnet leggings. My, don't we look lovely? And by we, I mean you. Martin observed with a grin. What's up? Getting desperate, Irma tried to open the door to get out, but it wouldn't budge. The others were likely keeping it closed on the other side. Martin would you like to go? Let me try the door again. She desperately tried to get out of this situation once more, but to no avail. Would you like to go out? You mean, a date? Martin asked with a coy grin. No, definitely not a date, Irma immediately said. Oh, well if it's not a date, then I gotta stay here and catch this ghost. Martin said. Irma sulked. Alright, it's a damn date. Wow, let's go. Martin was immediately on his feet with a jacket on. He grabbed Irma by the wrist and bolted out the door, not noticing Jackie, Will, Jade, Cornelia, Toru, Haylin, Caleb, and Blanc hiding on the other side. Oh, this will be the best date you ever had. I'll take lots of pictures. Once they saw the pair had left and they were in the clear, Will took out the heart of Kandrakar. It's guardian time. Captain Black sat in his own van a block away from Elion's house as he and his agents have been keeping a very close eye on the girl for some time. Yan Lin was also present with them. So, Captain, what have you found so far? The elderly woman asked. From what I can tell, Elion goes from school to home and hasn't been anywhere since. Captain Black reported. Anyone she's made contact with, we've confirmed are citizens of both Heatherfield and Earth. No evil shapeshifters, but we haven't caught sight of Cedric yet. Yan Lin sighed, one of both relief and worry. Phobos does not have her breath, at least not yet. Meridian, Phobos Castle. After sneaking their way in through the oubliette, Will and Jackie had split up to head for their respective destinations. Will carried Blanc with her as she used the snake talisman to keep both of them invisible while she quietly flew through the halls and over a pair of unsuspecting guards. Blanc snickered. Guards stupid. Blanc, SSHH. The invisible Will clasped her hand over his mouth as the guards looked up, but once they saw nothing, they simply shrugged and resumed their patrol. The talisman keeps us from being seen, not heard. Will spoke in a harsh whisper, as she and the pasling remained invisible. Keep it down. Blanc sorry. Okay, so where's Wang's room? Will asked in a whisper. Not far. Further down hall. Blanc answered as the invisible pair flew down the hallway before making a sharp turn around the corner to a door. Will quietly set herself down, with Blanc clinging to her shoulder, both of them still invisible. She quietly and slowly opened the door and stepped inside. As it turned out, there were two rooms. The one they were in had Uncle's unresponsive body strapped to a table, while in a separate room, Daolan Wang himself worked on making a counter spell with a black cauldron and a dark purple liquid inside. Wang made a series of chants as the invisible Will tiptoed to the door and quietly closed it so Wang wouldn't see them. Once that was done, she took out the dragon talisman and fired small, yet condensed, shots to break the restraints around Uncle. The invisible Blanc took a brief sniff. Old man alive, the pasling whispered. Then let's go. The invisible Will took Uncle's unconscious body and used the snake talisman's power to turn his body invisible as well as she had physical contact with him. They quickly and quietly left the chamber before Will took out a walkie-talkie she and Jackie were given before coming to Meridian. Jackie, Blanc and I found Uncle. She spoke into the communication device in a whisper. He's out cold, but he's alive. You found Uncle? Jackie asked in a whisper as he hung from a gargoyle statue near the ceiling from inside Phobos' throne room. He looked down to see Phobos himself having something of a heated conversation with Uncle's spiritual head, still trapped inside the orb of Quan Lo. Because I think I found him as well. Wait, what? Will questioned. Take Uncle's body. Jackie told her. I'll meet you back at the oubliette as soon as I can. He then slowly and quietly began to descend the wall toward the floor. You are crazy if you think Daolon Wang will create counterspell. Uncle told the Dark Prince. Oh, and who, pray tell, will stop him? Phobos questioned. Uncle noticed his nephew quietly land on the ground. Jackie. Jackie himself put a finger in front of his mouth, motioning for him to be quiet. Phobos gave a small chuckle. Chan has proven to be a formidable adversary, I will admit that much. But he is still only a mortal man, with no magic powers whatsoever. Phobos turned his back to Uncle. This would likely be the best time to grab Uncle as Jackie quickly and quietly came to the pedestal to grab the orb. Nothing to say, wizard. Phobos asked upon realizing his captive hadn't offered a retort. Cat got your, Phobos then gasped as Jackie himself put his own head to the pedestal. One more thing. He tried to put on an uncle impression, but Phobos wasn't convinced as he glared at Jackie. Who am I kidding? He used the rabbit talisman to make a run for it, bursting out of the main gates with the orb containing his uncle's spiritual head. The guards outside only looked perplexed as they saw the blur. Guards, sound the alarm, Phobos exclaimed to the guards. Intruders in the castle. Using the rabbit talisman, Jackie ran at super speed throughout the hallways of the castle. He was about to contact Will through the walkie-talkie, had he not accidentally ran into her as she, Bunk, and Uncle's body were still invisible. They all tumbled on the ground rather painfully, Will, Blanc, and Uncle's body briefly turning visible again while the orb containing Uncle's spiritual head rolled along the floor toward a set of stairs. Iya! Stop my head! Uncle exclaimed. Before the orb could fall, Jackie quickly reached out to grab it. Jackie. Will pointed between Uncle's body and his spiritual head, hoping for some kind of explanation, as even Blanc more than a little perplexed. Jackie himself could only sigh. I've stopped asking questions like that a long time ago. Let's just get out of here. Blanc no way out. Follow. The passling hopped to the floor and led the pair away as Will continued to carry Uncle's body while Jackie carried his head. Jackie, Will, you are going wrong way. Uncle told them. We know where we're going, Uncle. Jackie responded as Blanc led them around the corner only for the passling to give a surprised yelp, followed by Jackie and Will to look in shock at the sight of 24 armed guards and Lurdans blocking their path. See, wrong way, Uncle reminded. Will sighed. Well, so much for stealth. She took out the dragon talisman and aimed it at the enemy forces. Eat dragon heat. She blasted at them as Jackie used the rabbit talisman to run at super speed and charge forward as well. As the commotion continued outside, Daolon Wang had just finished the preparations with the counter spell as it shined a bright indigo color from the cauldron. So, they've come for the old fool. Wang spoke to himself having heard the alarm. Which would mean the portal is still open. He snickered evilly as he produced a vial to carry the counter spell. At the same time, the shadows around him only grew as several red eyes formed. Take this. Wang gave the vial containing the counter spell to the shadows as they produced a hand to obtain the vial. Cross the veil through the portal and deliver that to Cedric. The Shadokan then melted back into the shadows and disappeared with the counter spell. Earth, Sheffield Institute. Toru, Jade, Caleb, Cornelia, Terani, and Hei Lin, in their guardian forms, appeared to have the Hermenuta beast cornered as it was visible but remained defensive of the group. We got it into the hall, now chase it into one of those nets. Go, Caleb stated. The group charged as the beast turned indivisible and ran down the hall, though with the path of purple slime it was leaving behind, it might as well have been visible to them. Toru and Caleb ran while the three guardians flew in the air with Jade alongside them thanks to the rooster talisman. Fortunately, they wouldn't have to chase it much farther as the net they had set up was in front of the beast. It ran into the net, causing it to collapse and ensnare around the pig-like creature, trapping it. Toru even grabbed the net with one hand to hold the crying and struggling beast. I have it, Toru stated. Now we drop it off into the portal, wait for Will and Jackie to come back with Uncle, then close it up. Terani said. And we're home in time to shower in disinfectant. Cornelia commented as she tried to rub some of the purple slime off her hand. You know, I kind of feel bad for the little guy. Jade commented. Yeah, I mean it's not his fault. Just that mean old Daolon Wang. Hei Lin added. Kinda gonna miss him. Suddenly, a much louder roar sounded, alerting the group as they turned around to see an invisible mass turn visible to reveal an even larger Hermenuta beast, that looked even bigger than Toru. Apparently so did its mother. Caleb commented as they all looked more than a little shocked. "Wait, so this thing is a baby?" Jade exclaimed, referring to the smaller beast in Toru's net. She then remembered how mother animals often acted when their babies were threatened, and her eyes widened with dread. "Uh-oh." The mother Hermenuta gave a roar as it charged the group, specifically Toru holding the captured baby. Toru didn't even have time to get out of the way as he was rammed and trampled by the mother. It rolled him across the ground with its snout before running over him and kicking him with his back legs to send him crashing through the lockers. Terani flew toward the mother as she produced a series of fireballs to throw at the beast, but it turned invisible and ran at incredible speeds one would consider impossible for its size, causing the fireballs to miss as the mother rammed both Terani and Hei-Lin, sending them smacking hard into the wall. While the beast was occupied, Jade quickly came to the injured Toru to hand him the horse talisman. "Magic first aid," she said as she placed the talisman in his hand, causing all his injuries to vanish instantly. Cornelia then tried to use her powers to cause a brief tremor, shaking the tiles from the floor loose, which she shot at the mother, briefly knocking it off its feet. Toru then came in from behind to grab the mother. Using his own strength, Toru was able to keep the beast from running away, but it put up quite a fight that even gave Toru a run for his money. Caleb tried to provide some assistance by leaping onto the beast and wrapping his arms around her neck. "Hungry mama pig," Jade said as she used the telekinetic powers from the rooster talisman to lift some desks from a nearby classroom. "Well, eat this." She chucked them at the beast. However, the mother was far stronger than anyone could have anticipated as it not only shook both Caleb and Toru off, but even swung its snout to bat away all the thrown desks before charging at Jade to ram into her and knock her into a wall. Fortunately, she still held the horse talisman, so her injuries didn't last. During this time, the baby Hermenuta beast had managed to escape the net it was entangled in and ran off with a squeal, prompting the mother to run after it. The group groaned as they got up, most of them covered in purple slime. "I'm never eating pork again." Jade shivered. "Yeah, I never thought I'd say this, but I envy Irma," Cornelia added. Irma continued to follow Martin through the city, having just left a Coney Island restaurant for dinner. "So, would you say you enjoyed your dinner, my dear?" Martin asked, trying to act like a gentleman. It wasn't horrible." Irma shrugged. While she actually liked Coney dogs, it only made this night somewhat pleasant as she had to share it with Martin. But then again, it wasn't completely horrible either. "Well then, how about we finish this lovely night with theater?" Martin offered. "Oh, let me guess, Dungeons and Dragons the movie?" Irma questioned sarcastically. "Huh, you wish," Martin said excitedly as they were already at the movie. "How about Fast and Furious, The Return of the Road Rage?" That actually took Irma by surprise. Fast and Furious was one of her favorite movie franchises. It was also one of her bonding moments with Jade as well. "Wait, seriously? I had no idea you were even into that. Never judge a book by its cover," Martin said as he offered his arm. "Shall we?" Irma actually smiled. "Sure, why not?" She accepted his arm and they walked inside the theater. Though this might actually be a pretty good night, she was still worried for her friends, especially Jackie and Will, as they actually had to go into another dimension to rescue Uncle. But then again, she was sure they would make it out in one piece. Meridian, Phobos Castle. Will and Jackie had to fight their way all the way back down to the dungeon where they came in. Will still carried Uncle's dormant body over her shoulder as she blasted every guard and Lurden that came her way with the dragon talisman. Of course, that was all she could do as she couldn't fight with punches and kicks while carrying the body. "Blanc, take Uncle and do not let go," Jackie told the passling as he handed Uncle's spiritual head, still trapped inside the orb of Quan Lo, before using the rabbit talisman to zoom into a large group of guards and Lurdens. With such speed, there was no way the enemy could react in time to Jackie delivering precise punches and kicks to send them flying and crashing through the walls. However, one guard loomed over Blanc with a hammer in his hands. "Aia!" Uncle exclaimed as Blanc gave a surprised yelp before jumping to avoid the hammer strike. Will saw the predicament Blanc was in and quickly blasted the guard away with the dragon talisman. Blanc gave a sigh of relief as he wiped his brow. Is that everyone? Will asked Jackie. I believe so, Jackie assumed. But let's leave before Phobos himself tries to stop us. Will found no reason to argue with that, but once she saw the downed hammer from the guard she blasted away, she got an idea. Hey, could you hold on to this for a second? She gave Jackie Uncle's unresponsive body, much to his confusion. Blanc, put the orb down for a second. Will told the passling as she picked up the hammer. Blanc put the orb down, much to Uncle's confusion. Will tried to smash the orb open with the hammer, but she didn't even cause a crack as Uncle's head inside shook before he glared. Are you trying to give Uncle headache? I'm trying to bust you out of there. Will stated. The orb is magic. Magic must open magic, Uncle exclaimed. Will looked towards Jackie who could only shrug with a sigh himself. Of course, it does. With nothing else needing to be said, Blanc hopped onto Will's shoulder as she carried the orb this time, while Jackie carried Uncle's body and they left the dungeon. Earth. Linda Carroll was a young woman who lived a fairly simple life. She had a steady job, no current romantic relationships, and lived in a fairly reasonable apartment. At the moment, however, she was tied up in a closet with a cloth tied over her mouth. She was also under the influence of a sleeping spell for good measure to keep her from making any noises or commotion. This apartment would serve as a necessary cover for Cedric in his human form. He need only use this apartment once in order to invite and give Elion the counter spell that would enable himself and his allies to touch her. Of course, that all hinges on him actually having the spell. What is taking him so long? Cedric voiced his concern, though he spoke in a calm tone, his nerves were rather racked. I've learned not to underestimate Earth's forces, even without magic, they are certainly a thorn. They could track me at any moment, I need that spell. Almost as if on K, all the shadows in the apartment moved on their own as they surrounded Cedric and morphed into a group of Shadokan that were already kneeling to him. One of them presented the shapeshifter with a vial containing the dark blue liquid that he needed. The counter spell, Cedric asked as he took the vial, to which the Shadokan nodded in confirmation. Good. He smiled evilly before taking a sealed envelope from the counter and handing it to the lead Shadokan. Take this and slip it into Elion's mailbox. Be sure that you are not seen. The lead Shadokan took the envelope and disappeared with his fellow shadow entities, leaving Cedric alone to make the proper preparations, to make Elion feel welcomed into his home, for when she arrives. Sheffield Institute. Haylin created a tornado filled with desks which she launched toward the charging Mother Hermenuta, but like with Jade's attempt, the mother bashed through the attack with little issue before turning invisible and crashing through the doors of a classroom. Jade, Toru, and Caleb ran inside. All right, we got it cornered, Jade stated as she hovered in the air with the rooster talisman. Do we? Or does it have us cornered? Toru asked. It's a giant slobbering pig. Pretty sure it's not smart enough to lure us into a trap, Jade assumed. However, when Caleb stepped forward, he slipped on some purple slime and found himself pinned underneath the Mother Hermenuta. And it seems the pig is smarter than I thought, Jade commented. Toru immediately ran and slammed his elbow into the side of the mother to send her crashing to the wall. Toru pressed against her to keep the mother pinned to the wall, despite her squealing and struggles. Jade then used the rooster talisman's power to levitate multiple desks and stack them around the Hermenuta mother as Toru backed away. However, the mother was easily able to break through Jade's attempt to contain it before rushing past her, Toru, and Caleb, as well as Cornelia who tried to fly in. The mother ran back into the halls before turning invisible again, prompting Cornelia and Jade to fly after it while Toru and Caleb simply ran. Deeper down the hall, the baby Hermenuta bit down on a juice carton to try and get the fruity substance out. Terani and Haylin tried to set themselves down gently as to not startle it, however, the commotion coming from the group down the hall was enough to frighten it and send it running with the mother in pursuit. The heroes managed to regroup and were more than a little frustrated at their lack of progress thus far. Even if we catch the mother, I don't believe we have any means to contain her, Toru said. Cornelia gave a gasp of realization. We don't need to catch her, she follows the baby. And it looks like baby's hungry. Jade smirked once she saw the carton the baby previously chewed on. The group quickly entered the cafeteria where they found some frozen chicken legs, which Terani put on the floor and began to heat up with her fire powers. At the same time, the others were at the entrance with Toru and Caleb holding onto the bottom corners of the net with the hovering Haylin, Jade, and Cornelia holding onto the top. Okay, this is it. Caleb got the group ready. Here baby piggy. Got some nice chicken for ya. Jade called to it. Haylin sniffed the chicken. Ooh, that smells so good. I didn't have dinner. SSHH. Or you'll be dinner. Cornelia scolded. The group waited silently and anxiously for their quarry to take the bait. After about 2 minutes or so, the invisible baby Hermenuta had indeed taken the bait as it tried to rush for the smoking food, only to get stuck in the net the heroes had planned. Thanks to the combined strength of all of them, especially Toru's, they had effectively captured the baby. Haylin bit down on a piece of the cooked chicken herself before speaking. Listen you guys, he wants his mommy. Yeah, well they can have a dysfunctional family reunion back in Meridian. Jade cracked. However, the mother had already arrived and gave warning roars at the group to release her infant. Okay, now for the tricky part. Caleb said. Move. Toru called as he and Caleb led the way downstairs with the flying Jade, Terani, Cornelia, and Haylin holding onto the baby Hermenuta via the net, with the angry mother right behind them. Back in the school's basement, Jackie and Blanc had just exited the portal while still carrying Uncle's unresponsive body, as well as his spiritual head still trapped inside the orb of Quan Lo. We made it, Jackie said. How do you think the others did with Piggy? Will asked. Clear the way. Clear the way. Caleb's yells caught their attention as they could only gasp at the sight of their friends carrying the baby Hermenuta with the mother at their heels. No time to question, the group split away to let Jade, Cornelia, Terani, and Haylin toss the baby through the portal with the mother jumping in after her infant. Close the portal, Will. Now, Toru exclaimed. Will did just that as she took out the heart of Kandrakar to close the portal, preventing the Hermenuta mother and baby, or any other Meridian wildlife, from entering their world. What in the world was that? Jackie questioned. Mama Hermenuta beast, Blanc stated. Very nasty. Toru noticed Uncle's unresponsive body. Sensei, are you alright? He tried to shake him awake. Does Uncle look alright? Oddly though, the voice did not come from Uncle, but his spiritual head. The second everyone saw it, Toru, Jade, and Caleb gasped while Haylin, Cornelia, and Terani all screamed. They cut his head off. Haylin screamed. Guys, it's okay. Will quickly raised her hands to stop further panicking. That's just Uncle's disembodied spirit. His body is still alive. She showed his unresponsive body for emphasis, causing the group to look relieved as they all sat down. Oh man, that nearly gave me a serious heart attack. Terani breathed. We can get Uncle back to normal, right? Jade asked. Actually, Cornelia snickered as she picked up the orb. I kinda like him better this way. And if you think about it, it's actually pretty funny. She snickered. Someone smacked Cornelia on forehead. Uncle stated. Jade did just that, trying to imitate Uncle's own dope slap with her own fingers. Ow. Jade. The blonde rubbed her head. Hey, he asked. Jade smirked with a shrug, prompting Cornelia to grumble. Jackie gave something of a small sigh of relief, glad that the group was able to find some semblance of humor in this rather crazy situation. Let's go home. Lair residence. After finishing the movie, Martin had offered Irma some ice cream on his own money, which she accepted as he escorted her back home. So, was the night as magical for you as it was for me? Irma had already gotten a text from Will saying their mission was complete, but aside from that, she actually had a pretty decent time. She got to have a coney, saw a pretty cool movie, and even had ice cream. Honestly, I've had worse nights. She confessed as she finished her frozen treat. Really? Martin questioned excitedly. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Irma shrugged, thinking she might as well throw him a bone for the effort he put on for her, so she gave him a quick peck on the cheek, causing his cheeks to turn red before walking inside. Uncle's rare finds. Yumo gui gui fi di zao. Yumo gui gui fi di zao. Yumo gui gui fi di zao. Toru and Yan Lin both chanted as they hung some lanterns over the desk that had Uncle's spiritual head still trapped within the orb of Quan Lo, while Uncle's body was sitting on a nearby chair with Jackie, Will, Irma, Jade, Cornelia, Haylin, Terani, Caleb, and Blanc watching from the side. Yumo gui gui fi di zao. Yumo gui gui fi di zao. You mo gui gui fi di zao. As the pair chanted, the lanterns began to glow green with Kai magic before streams of green energy shot from the lanterns to envelop the orb before it cracked open to release Uncle's spiritual head. Hacha! Uncle exclaimed joyously before he flew back inside his body. His eyes popped open as Uncle Jin Chan became whole once again. Hello. Uncle, you're back. Jade wasted no time in hugging him, followed by Hei Lin, and even Toru gave a pat on his shoulder with Jackie following suit as well. Though the others didn't hug him, they were nonetheless grateful he was in one piece again, even Cornelia. I always knew you were an airhead, Jin. Yan Lin cracked. But I didn't mean literally. Uncle shared a smirk. Blame Daolan Wang for concocting such crazy spell. I got a question though. Terani raised her hand. If your spirit was trapped, why not just use the Sheik talisman? I mean, that is the talisman for astral projection, right? Uncle raised a curious eyebrow. You ask a good question. But the talisman would not work as my spirit was already disembodied and cannot be used to separate spirit from foreign object without proper spell. Kinda like when Shendu hijacked when I messed with the Sheik talisman. Jade recalled. Well, Uncle's back, and the portal's closed. So, mission accomplished. Will smiled. Mission of rescue and seal portal, yes. Mission to stop Phobos, no. Uncle quickly said. Daolan Wang has learned secrets of Elion's protection spell. Which means, that he now has the means to create a counter spell. Toru realized as all celebrations the group shared had come to an end as the gravity of their situation set in. So, the bad guys can actually get to her now. Jade said. Captain Black and Section 13 are watching Elion like a hawk. Jackie said. They're monitoring everyone she's making contact with and running thorough background checks to make sure they are indeed citizens of Meridian and not more shapeshifters. But that doesn't mean Elion's out of danger. Yan Lin said. All the more reason for us to protect her then. Will quickly said. As the group began to discuss what their next plan of action would be, Cornelia remained silent. Her only suggestion would be to warn Elion, but she already had that idea shot down twice, so there didn't seem like a point to bring it back up again. But at the same time, her resolve remained firm. Whether Elion knew it or not, Cornelia would protect her with everything she had. Sheffield Institute, the next day. Nearly all the students, and several teachers, looked around at the purple slime and damage to the school hallways and lockers from the Guardians and Chan clans fight against the Hermenuta beasts. As expected, Martin took pictures of nearly every inch of the area. Martin, in here, quick, a purple ghost, Uriah exclaimed as he pointed into a classroom. Martin wasted no time in running in, followed by a teacher, much to Uriah's shock. No, just Martin. But it was too late. The second Martin opened the door, the bucket of purple slime Uriah had set up over the door had fallen all over him and the teacher, causing them to slip before landing on the floor. The students all around laughed while an angry Martin, and an even more angry teacher, both stood up to glare at Uriah. You set this whole thing up, you cad. Martin pointed at Uriah. Pardon my language, ladies. He quickly said to the girls present before resuming his glare at the bully. I didn't. Uriah quickly said. I mean, not the other stuff, just this. However, nobody seemed to buy it. Yeah, we should have known Uriah was behind the whole thing. This seemed to work out better for our heroes as Jade, Terani, and Irma shared knowing smirks as they saw the teacher escort Uriah to the principal's office. Well, that's our story. Terani said. Someone call a janitor. Yeah, and Irma, one day the world will know about the dating sacrifice you made. Jade smirked, resulting in Irma scowling, or at least faking it. She had actually enjoyed the night out with Martin, but she wouldn't tell the others or else Jade and Cornelia would never let her hear the end of it. Cedric heard a knock on the door for his borrowed apartment and smirked as he had a good idea who it was. Come in. Elion opened the door and entered. Hi Cedric, thanks for inviting me. She said as she held up the letter he sent her via Shotokan. You know, I don't think anyone ever sends invitations by mail anymore. They usually just text or send emails. Yes, well, call me old-fashioned. Cedric replied. Please come in, make yourself at home. Allow me to get you something to drink. Oh, you don't have to do that. Elion said as she sat down on a chair. No, you're my guest, I insist. Cedric quickly said as he reached inside the fridge to pull out a bottle of grape soda. However, when Elion wasn't looking, he took out the vial containing the counter-spell Daolon Wang had made and poured its contents into the bottle, where it dissolved instantly in the liquid. "I've been told that you like grape soda." He offered the bottle to her. "It's my favorite," Elion said as she drank from the bottle, as well as the counter-spell in it, prompting Cedric to smirk. She looked out the window briefly before sighing. "I'm always kinda sad after it rains." "I know what you mean," Cedric replied. "Hey, again, thanks so much for inviting me." Elion began to confess. "I mean, Cornelia's supposed to be my best friend, but last night when I called, her mom said she went out with the other girls. I mean, she didn't even invite me." Cedric hesitated for a second, but he placed a hand on her shoulder. However, unlike before, he wasn't stunned. It would seem the counter-spell had worked, the good Kai spell protecting Elion was now gone. "One day, there will be those who really understand you." "Well, I think you do," Elion said as she finished her bottle of soda. "I'm so pleased you feel that way," Cedric replied. "Here, I'll take that for you." He took the empty bottle away. Cedric looked inside and saw that there was fog inside, so not only did he remove the protection spell around Elion, he even acquired her breath, the final piece for the ceremony of the amalgamation. Even though he knew that Section 13 would likely track him here soon, as they were watching Elion, it didn't matter if they did. He had all that he needed, and soon, Elion will be in Meridian, in the clutches of the forces of darkness. And it's the end of part 8 of this What If. I hope you guys like it. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel.